We're here.
We are here.
Hello.
Made it for
We're
our
here.
monthly.
Made it.
Well, weekly, but monthly. Actually, when were we last? Were we together last week? Last week we played Wingspan.
We were together last week.
Was it on Thursday?
Yeah. Was our race last weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah, our race was last weekend.
Yeah. Okay. So we haven't been here for 2 weeks. Okay. I was like, wait, no, it's been a long 2 weeks.
It has been. Well, welcome, guys. I'm Paul.
I'm Devin.
And we are Dads and Dice, and we played a ton of games in May, and we're here to talk about them.
Yeah.
47
Definitely
of them.
a ton for us.
Yeah.
Definitely a ton.
I think it's just a ton in general.
Yeah,
well, I don't
so.
know. I say that. There's some people that I see that
Yeah. I don't think
play
it's a
tons
ton
of games.
for like.
It's a ton for us.
It's a ton for us.
Yeah.
For sure.
So, and that's 47.
I will not hit
different
another
games.
month like this until November.
Oh, well,
that's if I'm
BGG
lucky.
Con.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So anyway, for those of you guys that are here joining us, we appreciate it. If this is your first time here, thanks for being here. We appreciate you. But yeah, this is just our monthly recap. Hey, Ian, can't wait to hear about our games. There's a lot of them. So get ready, get a comfortable chair, and be prepared. But yeah, so this is just kind of our monthly recap of just everything we've played. Some of these are solo games. This month we have a lot of 3-player games because Joe joined us from Board Games for Two, and we always like when he joins us for some games.
Yeah,
So.
I'm trying to think. I don't know that I played any solo this month.
Yeah, you've kind of calmed down on the solo gaming.
Yeah, I just don't enjoy it. I'll be honest. That's where I'm at, right? In my gaming, I've hit this weird spot with my gaming where I personally want to play like in-depth, crunchy games, right? Like I don't even want to play. I'm about to go on a family vacation, right? And I was talking to Lacey about it, and Lacey was like, "Hey, my dad said don't bring a game like you brought last year." And I was like, "I don't even remember what I brought last time." A few years ago, right? Anyway, point of my story was I told her I was like, "I don't think I'm gonna bring any games. I'm like, we hardly ever play them, so not worth bringing." And she was like, "Oh no, we'll play something. You should bring it. Like bring in, I don't know." She mentioned like Camel Up and Quest for El Dorado and
Wingspan,
a couple of things like that, right? And my just gut feeling was, I don't want to play any of those, right? And that's where I'm at in my gaming. Like I would just rather not play a game
if you can't play Gaia Project.
Yeah, if I can't play any of the bigger games, right? And I don't know. I think it's just a slump I'm in.
Yeah.
I just don't want to. And my solo is like, I've hit this point where solo is not satisfying as like playing with people, right? One, as you know, I don't really ever lose to the solo, so really, like, what does it matter?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just want that human.
Interaction,
randomness, right? In most games I play don't even have really interaction.
Yeah.
But I want like them doing something. So anyway, that's where I'm at. So I don't think I have any.
It's funny you say that because, like, for me, I kind of feel like I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum right now.
So right, you're big in solo right now.
I'm real big into the solo plays right now. I don't want a super big crunchy game by myself. I want something that I can kind of finish quickly. That doesn't mean that, I won't play it back to back to back to back, right? I could play 3 or 4 30-minute games in a row, so it's still taking the same time. But yeah, that's funny. We're kind of at different
points,
points in our gaming. So it's a kind of this ebb and flow that we have.
Yeah.
But I will say, I think both of us enjoy that 3-player count the best, which is what we had a lot.
I think I've read a lot of forums that, when it comes to Eurogaming, 3 is almost notoriously the best player count. And that's most of the gaming that we do, especially at conventions with a lot of the games we're going to mention. And so we are very fortunate that that's what we get to play those at.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I think 3. I've always been a more, right? Not that I don't enjoy playing games with you, but I've always said the 3s and the 4 player counts are the spots I enjoy.
Yeah.
Like I don't care that adding that person adds another 45 minutes of playtime. Yeah. That doesn't bother me, right? It's 45 minutes. I'm not doing anything but sitting there. I would still rather do that than, I don't know. Maybe it's. I'm not even really that social of a person, but I think
But
it's
that is
just,
your social time.
yeah, it's I want to see what they're doing, watch
being at the table.
be like, that was a stupid move. I'm gonna wreck them right here.
Or what you say at the start of every game. That was a good move Paul did. I'm going to do that too.
Paul makes good moves.
So,
Just remember that.
anyway, there's kind of our little rant. But before, I mean, let's just go ahead and get into the games.
I
this
know
is a
the
long
first one, and it is Paul, and it is solo.
It is a Paul game, and it is a solo game. It is it's not really a solo only game. You can play with other people, but this is a Gentle Rain. A Gentle Rain, they claim it is just a cozy game, just to hang out and play. That's all it is. So you've got this little box, little container. Inside of it, you've got some tiles. And all you're doing is building out this lake. So it's just tile placement. And so on each of these tiles, there's 4 different sides. And on each side, there's the different flowers that you see there on the screen. So you have your orange, your purple, your blues. And so what you're trying to do is you're just trying to match the sides up together to form the flower. Once you get 4 tiles connected and 4 different flowers that are connected there, in the center there's a little circle. And so the other component that comes in the box is just these little circle flowers. So the theme is, that part of the lake bloomed. So you have the little circle, you put the little wooden piece in there, and now you have a bloom of the flower. So there's 8 different flowers, and the goal of the game is really just to try to get 8 blooms out in however you can do it. So if you can do it before the stack runs out, you get more points. If you do it right when the stack runs out, you get 8 points, because that's how many flowers there are. But honestly, it's just been a game that, it's on TV, and I'll just flip a tile and try to match it, and I match it there, and maybe just wait a minute, maybe go back to the TV and flip another tile, just kind of look and match it, and just go from there. So it's just a really relaxing, chill game that I've gotten to play quite a bit this month.
Yeah, I don't know anything really about it than what you said, and that I was listening to somebody talk about this game, and they said, like, in the rule book, it literally says, like, oh, get cozy or whatnot.
Yeah, that's all it says.
But I think they described it a very good way. They're like, this is really not a game. This is an activity.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense, right? They're like, it's just an activity that you do.
Yeah, it's just something that's there.
They compared it to like a puzzle, right? Like it's just kind of that.
1 for 1 on games you're interested in. Awesome.
All right. Well.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a very, and I think it's at Target now. I'm not 100% sure. I think like that's where they're going to get it. But yeah, it's just honestly, Ian, I had it last month also, and I brought it to my classroom. And just when I was on my my conference period, just knock it out. Takes 10 minutes maybe, but it just kind of decompressed a little bit. So it was good.
If you're part of Paul's admin, he's just kidding.
If you're watching the video, we're doing good.
Yeah, sure. Played After the Empire. We played 2 Empire games, so it's a bit confusing. This is the castle building one.
Yes, this was the better one of the 2. For me, this was 1,000% better.
I put them both like same level. So this one here, you're building a castle. You start off with a wooden castle that
and
has
you're literally
4 walls.
building a castle.
Yeah, but it's like not as cool as like it should be when you think of a game that you're building a castle. Like when I thought we were building a castle, I thought we're building a structure. You literally start with the same structure size at the beginning and the end of the game. You just add a couple little turrets.
That's true. And it goes from wood to stone.
Anyway, it's just one of those random event type of games where you're defending this little castle. You have like worker placement to gain resources,
gain civilians, gain buildings that get you stuff.
Maybe y'all. I was in recovery mode the entire time. It was gaining resources to rebuild my walls, and then you just each round you get attacked by invaders. I honestly think the coolest part of the game for me was the deck of invaders is a square deck.
Yeah, that was cool.
And so it tells how many invaders based off kind of conditions. The further you are in the game, the more you're going to get, basically. But
And
they
the more
haven't.
prosperous you are too, like you get more attacks on you as well, right? Like the higher experience you have, I think. Like
Yeah,
you get
yeah. So
extra
it's
stuff.
it's
Yeah.
ultimately you have a track that is your victory point track, or like your wealth. It's people trying to take your wealth, right? And so ultimately, as you go further in the game, you have more victory points. There's breaking points for the invaders. But anyway, the invader deck, it's these square cards, and they tell how many are coming, and they have a direction that they're pointing, and so you just kind of shuffle this deck and rotate it around, and then you flip them, and so whichever way it's pointing when you flip it, that's the way they're coming from. And I just thought that was a really clever way of doing that deck,
it's really
right?
cool.
Instead of always like they could have made the deck 4 times as big and had
Every single
it's
direction.
3 archers coming from the west, or it's they're coming from the east. But instead, it was just a very neat way of doing that.
Yeah,
sure.
and it's based on your point of view of the board too.
Right, so
So like
everybody-
if it's coming this way for you, right, it's attacking your. It's just based on the orientation of where you're sitting. So that was really cool. Yeah, it was a. I thought it was a decent game. I think you and I are. I can stand a little bit more randomness than you can. This one was okay because it really kind of affects everybody.
Yeah, I didn't think the
similarly,
randomness
right?
was bad in this game at all.
yeah, the
right?
randomness was-
because it was not like the randomness of, I don't know how to explain it, because all sides are equal, right? It didn't really matter, right?
But this was anyway. This was a game of just like, I'm gonna build up, and then I'm just gonna beat you down and just beat you down. And like on the side of your castles, you had your gardens. It wasn't gardens, but it was like your fields,
food
right?
or whatever.
And anytime they would attack you from that side, they would just like give you a little extra, like I'm gonna stomp on your yard too and burn it down. Like so I don't know. It was a funny game. I definitely would play it again. I think it went 1 or 2 rounds too long, but overall it was a decent game.
Yeah, I agree.
For what it was.
I agree with Paul. It went like 8 rounds. If it had ended 5 or 6, been perfect, because after like round 3 or 4,
The invaders stayed the same.
It never really got much harder. So, but you also weren't getting stronger. You were just doing the same thing. So it was kind of a weird thing there. But yeah, overall that was it.
Yeah.
Aquatica, I played this with Joe. Super, super unremarkable game. That's the best way to play it. Honestly, if it was not for me going back...
BGG stats?
Yeah, me going back through the games, I would have forgotten all about this game. In the moment in playing it, had this really cool combo mechanic. Honestly, I can't explain the game because I've forgotten that much about it. But you have a hand of cards. I think you have 7 or 8 cards, and so it's one of those are your actions, and then there is like a round of refresh or a card that lets you basically refresh everything. And you do just like, all of these cards are very, very weak, right? It's like if you're playing Dominion and you can play 1 card of 1 silver, right? Like, so you can buy 1 silver, right? Or copper worth. But the thing is that I guess makes the game is there's like 1.5 billion like combo-y actions that you can do, and so it's kind of timing when you combo things, and you have this weird mechanic of sliding cards to then eventually score them, and it was worth a play, but nothing special. That's the best way to put it. We decided that we didn't think this was going to be a game for Paul. I think that was 100% probably the
from
right,
what I've heard,
the right call. Don't even know that it was a game for either Joe or I. It was just it was a game, right? Just a game. Nothing special. That's what I mean.
Yeah, that was the day that I wasn't able to go, and when you guys had texted that, like, hey, do you think you'd be interested in this game? For me, it was just kind of like, well, I feel like they're saying that because they don't think I'll like it, first of all. But yeah, it's one that I didn't really look into, so no hard feelings not playing that one.
Yeah. So that was that.
Architects. This was me.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, this was me. This was at the beginning of the month. That's what it was. So after our video of our top solo games, this one was on your list. I went home and I said, you know what? It's been a very long time since I've soloed this one. Let me solo it. And so you and I both, we have everything for the game. We have the mats, we have all the promos, everything, all the expansions. So I set it all up, and one thing I will say is, having 3 different rule books, not my favorite thing. I don't know if you feel the same way with it. You know, it's been a while since I've played the game, but I forget little rules here and there from the expansions and from this expansion. So like trying to flip through all these rule books, it can be quite a bit. I kind of wish they would condense them. That would be nice. But anyway, that's really the only complaint that I have. Architects of the West Kingdom, it's a worker placement game. It's more of a worker investment game where you can go to actions out on the board and gather resources. The more workers you have out there, the more resources you gather. There's a way to get some virtue and lose virtue by going to the black market. You can build up on the cathedral. There's just a whole bunch of different aspects to the game that you can interact with. And then, of course, there's also all the townsfolk, like any good Garfield game or any good compass directional game. But it's just a great game. After that solo play, I actually think I did it 2 days in a row. You know, once you start playing it, it feels very familiar. The Works of Wonders expansion really adds a lot to it. The updated solo on this one adds quite a bit on there as well. And yeah, it's a really good solo. Really enjoy it.
Yeah, so your comment about the rule books, I won't say it's I miss rules. It's that you have to look at 3 different setups.
Yeah.
You literally have to look
true.
at the main setup and then what, you know, whatever, the Age of Artisans tweaks, and then what the Works of Wonder. And that's the same goes with, say, Viscounts, right? Paladins is the same, but thankfully it's at least only one. Also, I think it's the easiest because it's literally just a board and everything is over there. Whereas both of those games, it's set up all over, or a pile goes here, or you start differently. And so, anyway, that's, I think, my only thing with it.
The great thing about the Architects, though, at least for us, is we both have the player mat. There's places for everything, right? So like the Works of Wonders, like there is stuff there. For the Age of Artisans, it's there. Spoiler alert for this month, I just played Viscounts this morning. Same thing. Yeah, I was looking through the 3 rule books, and that game, oh my gosh, the amount of stuff it has.
Yeah, because the one of them adds the...
they feel like manuals.
adds the King's Order cards and the whatever the purple
chests.
cards
the
right?
outsiders.
And then the other one adds the chest plus
the manuscripts or whatever it is.
And the public buildings, right? And then I don't remember which one, but which one of them adds the different center reward.
Right? The castle reward.
So yeah, there's just a lot for that one specifically, and there's not places, right? Even without the player mat, it at least like
for the most part,
it's a cover up over or whatever, right? That one, stuff is just over on the tables. It doesn't matter where you put it, right? So the King's Orders can over there, but the purple cards that you get when you discard them are sitting over there, and
But yeah, no. Overall, I love Architects. For a long time, it was my #1 game. Absolutely love it, and just getting it to the table felt really good, and it's just going to be a game that I continue to get. So yeah, Michael, the rule books, they do feel like manuals. I agree with that, but I also do think they're some of the best rule books just because the way they are laid out. They give all the information, it seems like, in the right point. Now, there's been a couple lately that have kind of like skipped around a little bit, but for the most part, it's this is what this section does, this is what this section does. So yeah.
Yeah, I guess I've never thought one
You're
way.
just good at rule books.
Yeah, or about it. I've never thought they were bad, but I've also never like walked away thinking that's a great rule book either.
For me, it's one of
it's a rule book.
For me, it's one of the rule books that I generally understand usually after the first or second read. So that's pretty good for me. Automobiles. This game was awesome.
This might have been our sleeper for BGG.
Yeah, this game was amazing. If you like racing games.
So yeah, we go into every BGG. I say that. We've always gone into every BGG trying a different racing game. Our buddy Joe loves racing. It's not that Paul and I.
And
it's Joe loves racing.
It's because every weekend also BGG is like F1 or something, right?
It's Monaco weekend.
Yeah.
Right, which I guess is their big race. Sure. And so the first time we did it, I think we did Formula D.
We did Formula D.
is F1 racing. I think. Honestly, I don't remember now.
I don't know.
This one was NASCAR though. But anyway, automobiles may be the one we just always go to, right? Like, I don't know that we play another one because this was
so good.
40 minutes of straight laughter. And we were just racing. So it's a bag builder.
Which in and on its own is just amazing.
Yeah, bag builder is always a great mechanic, right? But it's a bag builder, and you have 4 gears, which are like the ways you can move around the map, right? It's almost Candyland style, right? It's that simple. It's Candyland for you match colors, and that's where you move.
You have your white, your light gray, your darker gray, and then your black.
And you have some special powers, but I won't even say that's what makes the game by any means, right? You would think most of the time it's special powers that make the game. That's not what makes the game. What makes the game is every single turn you go, you get wear on your car, which is brown cubes you add in, right? And the faster you go, so if you go on the black track, you're getting 4 wear, right? And so the higher you go in that kind of matching of the colors, the more wear you get. And so
you can draw like 8 wears out of your bag,
and you're drawing 7
white.
cubes, you know, and so the game at first is like, oh yeah, and you only have like white, so you're like, you are upgrading to the better stuff. But then those last couple rounds, you're like pulling, and it's like, oh, it's all wear, and it just brings a whole lot of laughs, right? I think I had this like lead 2 of the 3, 2 and like 3/4 of the 3 laps, and then I literally stall out on the last turn.
You're like on the straightaway.
2 turns in a row, I draw nothing but wear. Nothing but wear. And it was laughs, right? There's no soreness about it. You're just laughing. The turns where things come into piece, and you're like, whoa, I went halfway around the track on this one.
I'm going white. I'm going gray.
You know, one, you just added 4 more wear, and the next turn you're about to draw a bunch of wear. It was great. We also did not min-max the game. We always try and go into our racing games not as board gamers, but as just like
racing fans.
Racing fans. That's the best way to put it. So we try and play quick. Don't overthink it. Like, I'm just taking these cubes and let's go.
That's like with Formula D, right? That's what made it so fun for us, was we put like a 30-second timer on it. So it was like, this is what you're doing, and we are going. On this game, automobiles, just like you said, it was, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. And then you're looking at like the special ones. It's like, what does my purple even do? I don't remember. Oh, it clears all my wear. Put that away, right? So yeah, this was a great game. Absolutely loved it. Michael says, how does it compare to Heat and Downforce?
Yes, we haven't played Heat. Downforce, we played and we had a very bad experience. So again, we, like Paul just said, we play it quick. Joe tried to he learned the game, and he tried to
make it a racing.
He tried to get us just playing, right? We're not even gonna really we'll just figure this out. Automobiles, easy enough to do that, right? Because again, it's basically Candyland, right? This is a fun Candyland, right? He tried to do that with Downforce, and he's like, all right, we're bidding on the red driver without ever explaining
we're just
any of the rules.
Bidding, what?
You know, and so we just had this weird experience. And then on top of that, the very first round, I don't remember, Paul had the black car, right? He gets into this funnel, and every car gets behind him. And then the only cards that me and Joe can play are ones to also move
me
the
too,
black car really far. So Paul just whips around this track and finishes before second place is anywhere even close, and it was just a weird experience. So much better than Downforce in my opinion.
I will say I have played Downforce at other times as well. Downforce and Heat are definitely more gamier games. This one is literally, if you just want that experience of just doing something quick, getting those racing feeling, this is definitely the go-to game. But if you want more of a game, then I would definitely say Heat or Downforce. Again, I haven't played Heat, but Downforce, I do enjoy it for a game. For racing, automobiles is the way to go.
Okay.
Cartographers. So this one is one that I've been soloing quite a bit this month. Ian, I've been playing with you on BGA, but just recently I got all of the maps. Thunderworks Games sent it to us. So we got all of the maps, got all the heroes, all that kind of stuff. So I've just been trying out different maps. And it's just a game that I just absolutely love. You heard me talk about it on my top solo games if you watched that video. You know, with the new expansions that we got, it's more, there's different spring cards available and different actual like shapes and patterns available now. So it's not just the same ones that you always see, right? Like in base cartographers, I know there's the 4Z, right? I know the blue and the water and the farms are the 3x3s, right? Like I know those shapes, so I kind of know what to expect. With this new one, with the heroes cards, it's like, ooh, that's a cool shape. Where am I going to put it in here? So it's definitely kind of reinvigorated the appeal to the game, to making it a little bit more. I don't want to say like I don't have to. I'm not planning in advance nearly as much, right? It's more of like, oh, this is flipping over. I haven't seen this before. Where can I fit it? With base cartographers, it's really like, okay, I know these are the options that are going to come out. I'm going to leave this little corner piece because I know there's a village that can fit in here, right? And with heroes, I don't really have that as much. Heroes also adds something to defend the, I forget what you call them, the minions or the demons or whatever you call them, right? So if you have a little hero, you can say, I'm going to block off this space and this space so that if a minion does come in there, they can't attack this general area. So it just makes it a little bit more strategic, a little bit more planning. But again, my favorite part about it has just been adding those different shapes. And Cartographers is just great. It's a real good game. Really like it. Michael, it changes it enough. I think it just makes it more strategic. I don't think you need it. You can definitely play Cartographers without it, and it's just a great game.
Yeah, I like it. I don't have much to add, but I also very much enjoy it.
Cascadero. So this is a newer Reiner Knizia game. He's got a ton of games coming out lately. This is one that is a route builder. That's pretty much straight up what it is. It's a route builder. So you are these little you're an envoy. That's what it is. And you have this giant map. And on this map, there's different cities. They're different colors. So you've got like a yellow color, a blue, a pink. It's just your player colors, right? So you have these envoys, which are just little meeple, people riding horses. And you're trying to make contact with these cities is basically what it comes out to. So on your turn, you're literally just going to get your envoy and you're going to place it either next to a city or next to one of your envoys. And you're just trying to make routes from one city to another city. If you are the first or second person to join this kind of city, you get some type of points, you go up some tracks. And then that's kind of where the game shines, is those tracks really allow a bunch of different combos to occur, right? So once you have reached this certain track, you can place another envoy, or once you've reached this level, you can gain this other tile that lets you do something else, or you can take another action. So that's really kind of where the game shines, is all those different chaining of actions and combos. The game is also another race style game. It's really the first to 50 points. But on top of that, you also have to be all the way to the top of your color track, right? So you really want to visit those different, or you want to visit those city colors. There's also a sort of set collection that goes on, right? So if you have 3 of this city color touching, you get to claim an achievement. If you have all the different cities in a kind of route, you get to claim this achievement, and just stuff like that. It's a very Knizia game where you can get points from a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, Paul described it great. I honestly forgot all about this game. I was trying to think about it as Paul said it. It definitely left a good mark for Paul. I had forgotten, honestly, what it was until he started talking about it.
Yeah,
so.
I do remember you weren't too fond of it through the playthrough. I think this is a game that will play much better.
So I remember that, right?
Yeah, it plays much better at a higher player count.
I remember, so it has this mechanic where to score points, you have to go to these cities that somebody else is already there. So when there's only 2 people, you're always going to the same cities together, right? It's like, oh, I'll be the first here and not score, and then Paul goes in and scores. But Paul's the first over there, so I'm gonna go score there, right? And I don't think that's the way it's like meant to be played. It's meant to be played like, oh, I'm gonna tag along with Paul's and with Lacey's and with Kirsten's and whatever, right? So that's what I remember. But yeah, until Paul was talking about it, I honestly forgot most of the mechanics of it. Didn't quite shine for me.
Now this game also, I remember you'd made a comment on the artwork. It's very samey, right? So it's very kind of beige. I say beige. There's a lot of color on it.
Yeah, it wasn't
but
that.
It's our player colors are very similar to this. They are the same as the city colors. So like it kind of all gets mixed together in there, and it's kind of hard to decipher what's going on without you really looking at it and really focusing on what the board is.
Yeah, it's not that it mixes with the artwork. It's once you place the board, you're going to be placing really a bunch of cubes, kind of like this.
Yeah.
Right? All over the board.
A lot of them.
Yeah, a lot of them, right? And so we'll call it halfway through the game, the board is just covered in cubes. So it's really hard. You know where your cubes are and what they're doing, but like, it adds a lot of AP if you're going to sit there and analyze what are all the other person's cubes also doing. And I can see that being a problem at multiplayers, even though I think it's going to be better at multiplayers, is, well, now because we're all trying to go after these different goals, I've got to sit here and I've got to count, well, are all the yellow cubes, okay, they're not, I don't have to worry about those. Now what about the blue? And, oh, okay, they're pretty close. And what about the red? And, oh, they're also very close, right? So anyway, it was just a big clutter on the board. It wasn't that it was visually, it was hard, it was just a clutter.
So this is one that I definitely want to try again. I actually brought it to BGG because I was hoping to get maybe like a 3-player game in, but obviously that didn't happen. So I'll try it out some other time, see how it plays at a higher player count. The 2-player one didn't really impress me, but we'll see.
Yeah, so that was Cascadero. Dwarf Romantic?
Dwarf Romantic
is how you play this game. Man, I just keep having these games that didn't impress me much. However, with this one, Joe and I played this when Paul wasn't around. Nothing but laughs. We had a good time. We played this like a racing game.
Not analyzing
as soon as we first and foremost, I did not realize this was a cooperative game, so that was my fault. I don't like cooperative games, so as soon as I see it's cooperative, I'm like, oh. And Joe is kind of the same way. Joe and I don't play cooperative games all that often.
Except for Spirit Island.
Spirit Island is the rare exception to it. Joe and I like very aggressive, combative head-to-head games when it's just the 2 of us. So cooperatives don't fit that mold. So pick this up, find out it's cooperative. So we're like, well, it's talked about. We got to at least check it out, right? And so we did. It was like speedrun version of Dwarf Romantic, and that made it a very fun playthrough, right? So we were laughing the entire time, but I think that was there. But we didn't care who scored what or who did what. Well, actually, it was what we scored, or because it was just this achievement system of like, oh, score the more points you can, right? Like any solo of beat your own score, right? And so anyway, we had a blast playing it. I walked away saying, I definitely understand why people really like this, right? I walked away saying Paul would absolutely love this game. Just not one for me. And that was all it is. So,
did you know this is a video game?
In what way?
I don't know. But I'm okay, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm like 99% sure
the next game
this
you're
is
talking
a
about,
Switch.
I'm looking that up.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is on the Switch.
What would you do?
I don't know. I don't know what the game is. I haven't played it.
I'm trying to think like.
But I'm pretty sure it's a video game.
Is there anything that would be fun doing in video format?
Like it would be like a Stardew Valley, I'm assuming, right? Like, actually, I don't know. I've never played that either. I don't know anything about that. I'm just kind of talking here.
Interesting. I'll check it out next time you're playing about maybe this one. Nope, drop it.
Drop it.
Another one Joe and I played. Also shined brightly.
Yeah, it's a video game. There you go.
Oh, okay. They just made it.
Hey, Ken.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm going to look up this video game next time you talk. Drop It. Drop It is that. What you're looking at on the screen, this is Drop It. you have this Connect 4-ish device that's clear on both sides, and you're dropping colored pieces, trying to get them. Basically, the higher you stack them, there's like lines in there, you get points. That's it. Another laughter ensues. There's rules like the same color can't touch each other, the same shape can't touch each other. So if they do, you don't score anything. Joe and I just laughed the entire time. If he had not bumped the table on like my final one, so mine slid over and did not
He wouldn't have
count,
been undefeated day one.
I would have won. So Joe, calling you out on bumping the table when I'm placing it in a friendly game of Drop It. But yeah, that was Drop It.
Not salty.
If you're ever, not salty one bit. But if you ever see this game, you should play it because it takes like 15 minutes. I just taught you the game. That's it. Colors can't touch. Shapes can't touch. Go score points. Right? That was Drop It. We had fun.
Empire's End.
Empire's End. So the second Empire game we played, I don't know. This one was, again, same theme. You're being destroyed, right? So you start off with 12 cards like Space Base, unlike Space Base where you are getting...
Same designer, I think.
That makes a lot of sense. So instead of like Space Base where you are becoming more powerful in those colors, their numbers, this you are becoming weaker in those numbers, right? Definitely makes sense.
Your empire is on fire.
Now that you say it's space, I definitely see Space Base. I totally get it completely, right? Exact opposite of Space Base. And so it is an auction game. I'm gonna stop right there. I don't know about Paul. I hate auction games. No, I don't like. I hate auction games.
Yeah.
My least favorite mechanic.
I'm not a good negotiator or auctioner or bluffer.
What I liked though about this one I was going to say is it did not have the negotiation side of like auctioning that can sometimes come. And it was unique in that you are paying more to not get the thing.
Yeah.
Right? And that was, I thought, a cool spin that made it more acceptable for me. Paul had a bad experience because he got dumped with everything.
Every single ending
every time
of
a
the
tile
Empire.
comes up, it's bad. You don't want tiles. And Paul just kept getting on dumped. It was neat-ish. I will not remember this game in 5 years for sure. But we played it and that was it.
Yeah, it's a game that somebody is... Well, I don't know. I'm going to say somebody's always going to get dumped on. And I don't know, maybe, what does this play to? 4, 5? I don't know.
I don't.
But at the 3-player count, like, it became this kind of vicious cycle of my empire just kept on getting on fire, just kept on ending. And in order to get more in order to flip it back over, I needed to get more resources. The only way to get to more resources was to destroy another part of my empire. So I was just in this constant feedback loop of, oh, that's destroyed. Oh, I need these resources. Oh, that's fixed. Oh, that's destroyed. And it was just like this constant cycle of just stuff happening and me never getting out of it. So I don't know. I had a very bad time playing this game. I will remember this one in 5 years because it was just not a good, enjoyable time.
I've only played it once, so I can be super off base in saying this. Seemed like it had a very bad runaway leader situation in that feedback loop that Paul was in, right? So you only get your income or resources a certain amount of times, right? So one, if your village is on fire, you're probably getting less resources. Yep. But two, you're having to spend those resources to rebuild your village. Whereas me...
And to not get the new ones.
Well, but so that's the thing, right? So you were having to spend, you were getting less resources, and you're having to spend it to rebuild your village. Whereas me, I hit a point where I was not, my village was fine. So now I'm getting more resources than Paul, and I'm not spending them. So when the next card came up, I just get to use my resources to not take the card. And so, as I said, I have a feeling that it's a runaway leader type problem, but it could be wrong. That was literally one playthrough, just the experience that we had.
There was also, just to poo-poo on the game a little bit more, it was tile number 7 kept getting hit. And that was like my one good tile that I had scoring opportunities to the next of it. And it was like, oh, move tile 7 down to this area. And I was like, no, you're moving it away from my farms, the only place that I'm getting resources. And I was like, okay, now my next turn, let me move it back over here. And yeah, it was not a good time for me.
Yeah, so that was Empire's End. Ezra
Ezra
and
and
Nehemiah,
Nehemiah.
the newest Garfield game.
The newest Garfield game. So we have played it 3-player. We have not played it 2-player yet.
Haven't yet.
But we've both soloed it. What are your thoughts?
I think this is. I think this is a really good game.
Mm-hmm.
I would say if we were like doing a list of best games of 2024, this is for sure it, because I haven't played a lot in 2024. I just think it is so much more crunchy than I expected it to be. And I was just talking when we started this video that I'm like wanting to play with more people. This is a game I do think I will probably never play with more than 2 ever again, because there's minimal player interaction, and every player that you add, you are adding a lot of play time that you're not doing anything. So I don't know. I don't often feel time in games, but there was a lot of downtime in this one because it's thinky, right? And you're just thinking like, holy cow, what am I doing? Okay, and the ordering matters a lot. So I think it's really good. It's just probably for me going to be a 2-player game. I also think the solo, personal opinion, is one of Garfield's weaker solos. The opponent is very stupid. Very, very stupid. Does not compete. It is nothing more than a score system, and that's it. It has to be you have to be very unlucky for it to get in your way to stop you from doing anything, right? It's not competitive for any of the stuff you want. Because of the way the scribe tiles work, there are synergies, and there's zero chance that it's going to stop you from getting the synergies that you want. Just a different one. So I will address Michael really quick here. No, not crunchy in the sense that Scholars, I've said before, you have to be very deliberate on how you score in Scholars. Scholars, you have to go in with a game plan of this is what, or not go in, but read the board state and this is how I'm going to score points. Ezra and Nehemiah is crunchy in that because you can do the trade actions and the elder actions and the trader actions and all of these kind of auxiliary free actions, we'll call them, because you can do all of those, and then the ordering in which you build out kind of your tableau, there's just a lot to think with every single turn, right? Like I need to play this card before this card because I need to do this trade before that trade, but I need to play this third card before I play that first card because of the banners, right? And so you just have to think about that a lot, and it's not hard. It's time consuming thought. That's the better way to put it. It's not hard thought. It's just time consuming. You have to order a whole lot.
Yeah, I went into this. Honestly, this is my most anticipated game of 2024.
Yeah.
It's one that I've been looking forward to for a very long time. And honestly, like for Garfield games, it reminds me a little bit of Viscounts the most. Mainly because Viscounts has got the 3 different actions. You've got your manuscripts, you've got your castle, and then you've got your buildings. And this one, you've got your building, right? You're building up the wall. You've got your little castle or your altar that you can build up, and then you've got your tiles there that are kind of like your end game scoring. So it's got the 3 different actions there, and really what this game is about is you want to focus on 1 or 2 of those actions and really hit them hard, right? So like in our first playthrough with a 3-player playthrough, you hit the blue banners real hard, I hit the gray banners real hard, and Joe hit the red banners, and we were all within that 15-point spread. Like we were very close. So that to me, like that just showed, oh, every action is a viable action to win the game, right? There's something that you can do on all of these turns. Now, I will say on that first playthrough, I tucked the card that gives me food at the very beginning, and I was never able to get food again, so that was always a struggle. I mean, I could get food, but I wasn't able to trade for food. So I definitely learned not to tuck that first, right? But it's got some good asymmetry in there with your player boards, with the different elders and traders and laborers and stuff that you can get. I do think that the game is different enough with all the scrolls that you can get out there because they're random kind of order. Again, with your player board. I think the game loop can feel samey, but I think the board state is what will make that game a little bit different. So
yeah, I agree with that. There are so many scribe tiles, and I don't know. I think roughly a third come out in a play, roughly. So you're gonna have so much variability. The scribe tiles, far and above, are what make the game, in my opinion.
For you, yeah, I like the building.
No. I'm not saying the specific action. They're what you. I don't think you can ever ignore getting a bonus.
You can't.
Right?
You can't. You're right.
I'm not saying that you have to focus on blue. I'm saying, like, if you're going to do building, you're
Those
going
are the
to
auxiliary
take. You're going to
options,
take the things that benefit
Yeah.
that, and that is far like that is. It's the agricola occupations, right? It's the
townsfolk and paladins, right?
The townsfolk and paladins, right? It is the thing that makes the variety in the game and makes it not samey, right?
I agree with that.
That is the
Yeah, I know on Joe's playthrough, he got it was any time on the altar where he goes past the flame, he got some type of bonus, and he was just hitting red heavy, right?
And so I think you're always going to build, we'll call it 2 scribes, just to focus in on, okay, I'm going to do this, and then I'm doing red, and these benefit that, or I'm flipping developments, or I'm gaining whatever. And so I think there's a ton of replayability there that I don't ever see. What do you think on, first, what did you think of your solo?
I actually really enjoyed the solo. Well, I will say the first time I played the solo, I absolutely decimated it, and then I realized I had to have done something wrong. I don't know. And so going back over the rules, I did do some stuff wrong. So I've played it after that. What I really like about the solo is it lets me experience different ways on how to play the game. So it's going to give me... when we played our game, right, I went for building out the walls, and you said, I knew that's what you would do. Like, that was, you knew exactly that's what I was going to go for. For my solo plays, I haven't done the wall maybe 1 or 2 actions, right? And so going back to your point, looking at the scroll tiles, I saw that there's this synergy of anytime you build on the altar, you get some type of resource, and then the end game scoring was if you have the rows finished on the altar, you get these. So I was like, oh, I'm definitely hitting that blue track all the way up there, and then I'm getting my points over here, right? So it was just a way to kind of change up what my normal gameplay would be. But yeah, like you said, the AI, it's going to do 3 red actions, 3 blue actions, 3 wall actions, and that's really what it's going to do. It's going to score in that 70-ish to 80-ish kind of range, somewhere in there. We haven't tried the hard. I don't know if that's any better or any worse or whatever.
My thing with the hard is it literally doesn't change the AI.
Yeah.
My problem is the game, I agree, the solo lets you play whatever game you want to play, which I like in solos. That's not a problem. I at least want the AI to be
competitive.
Like I'm gonna use paladins for example. That AI goes after the spaces you want, right? Like, it's going to go after the prime spaces.
Honestly, that's the AI taught me to play that game, right?
Like, go after those spaces because
I will be going after the prey spaces first because that's what you want.
Right.
Yeah.
And so this one here, it is just so dumb. So my thing with the hard is it's just a score marker. It scores more, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't change it still does the exact same thing it's going to do. It just scores more.
Gets more workers.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just going to score more points. That's all that's going to happen. So I don't know. I think, if I want to just play the game knowing that I'm probably just going to beat this thing down, sure. But I don't know. I want, like, I want you to be able to see like, oh, Devin just got that helps his altar. I cannot let him get this other thing that's building the altar, right?
Yeah.
That's the interaction that I want, is I've got to stop this, right? Or me making that same decision. The AI is just like, oh, and he happens to take this one over here that I was never considering and does nothing for him. So
I'm going to get the lowest one over here.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I was
yeah, no, I think it's a good game.
I think that tells that it's a decent game. As I said, probably the best new game I have played so far. But just know it's way more thinky than.
Yeah, I mean, we both went into it with like, it's 3 actions.
Yeah, I was like, this is gonna be super easy.
3 actions.
I taught it off the dome, and
you did.
Yeah, it was, I don't know. So that was Ezra and Nehemiah. Fields of Arle, golly. I really want to look up
Dwarf Romantic.
Fields of Arle. Joe and I, again, we had a whole day without Paul. This was the game Joe and I went into saying, hey, we really want to play this game, right? Fields of Arle is a Uwe Rosenberg game with a billion actions, kind of like a Feast for Odin, and this is maybe the most sandboxy game I have ever played. It doesn't guide you in any way whatsoever. It's just go. Go, and at the end of the game, you better have the most points, right? And that's it. There is so many different ways of getting points. There's zero right or wrong way of getting points. You figure out what I'm going to do and what is my way, and you do it. I thought it was fun, right? I like those type of games, right? Because I want to find my own in-game condition, right? And so Joe and I did wildly different games. Joe and I literally the whole time have no idea who's winning this game, right? Or like, I'm like, dang, you're scoring a lot of points over there. He's like, dang, you're scoring a lot of points over there, right? And we're doing totally different strategies. The thing I really liked about this game, I won't harp on it too much. I think it's just a good game, but it's the viticulture summer and winter actions, right? I don't remember the exact, but so you play on one half of the board and do these action spaces. You play on the other half of the board and you do these action spaces, and there is a lot of like cross planning. Like, I need to do this action to then do this in the winter, or I need to do this in the winter to do this in the summer, and so of course I love that, but. The first player always rotates between rounds unless somebody does the other season's action. So when you're in summer, one person can do a winter action, and only one person. And if you do that, you give up first player for the next round. And I thought that mechanic added so much depth, right? It was always this choice between both of us, right? If I'm second player right now, do I take this winter action that I really want to do, knowing I'm also going to be second player next round? Or, same case, if I'm first player right now, it makes sense that I can take the winter action because it's going to Joe either way, but I also know Joe wants to do that winter action, so maybe I don't, so I can be first player again next round. And then there was also this time where I knew in 2 rounds I really wanted to be first player, right? So I specifically
gave it up
so that the next round I was second player, knowing I wouldn't take the action, so I could be first player 2 rounds from the one I was making this decision. And I thought that mechanic was just so cool. It was so simple, right? Literally, it's just you're doing an action on the other side, but how that interaction, and
That's interesting.
There was this cool interaction that we were both fighting the whole time of like, oh, I want to be the one. Yeah, who's gonna, and really loved that. I thought the game was great. This is definitely up there in one of my top games for sure, based off of that one play. If I ever have the chance to pick this up for relatively decent price, I will.
Yeah,
knowing I won't play it all that much because I just thought it was good.
It's a 1 to 2 player game.
Yes. Oh, actually, and that's what I was going to say. I'm not even going to say 1 player. This is a 2-player game. And I told Joe, and I both said, if you are into crunchy Euros, this, and then you are mostly playing at the 2-player count, you can't go like better than this, because this is literally optimized like for 2 players, because it's 2-player game, right? And yeah, I think it's just that. It's the most optimized Euro for 2 players, and I would always recommend it for a group of 2.
Have you looked at the solo at all? I wonder if the solo is the same as the Feast for Odin, where you have
That it blocks. It couldn't work that way, right? Because
it's so
you're
different.
doing summer and winter, so
wonder
it
how the
couldn't
solo
work
would play.
exactly that way. I haven't looked into it.
I was gonna say, I know a Tiwa is similar to a Feast for Odin, but it's 2 different. It's like 3 colors.
Oh, you're
total.
you're rotating through 3. Yeah,
so-
this one I could not see it working that way at all. Just the way that you're doing summer and then winter. But great game, highly recommended.
Food Chain Magnate. So you can look up Dorf Romantic if you want.
I'll let Paul talk about Food Chain.
Food Chain Magnate is first of all, if you don't know anything about this, a lot of people say this is the most cutthroat game that you will ever play. You can lose it in the first turn. You can pretty much win it in the first turn. But this is a game that we have played at every convention for the last 3 years that we've gone to, 3 or 4 years. And it's just an awesome game. You are the CEO of a company. So literally you start the game with 1 card and 1 restaurant. So for a 3-player game at least, it's a 3x4 grid. And it's got all these streets and then just a bunch of houses thrown out there. So the first thing that you do is you just look at this map and you place a restaurant somewhere on the map. And so our setup this time for the map was there was one very good area, and it was where all the houses were, and then everything else was pretty much disconnected from that area.
We had a super house populated map.
Yeah, there was houses on every
single
tile.
tile we got had houses. That's very uncommon. But what Paul's talking about is there was a literal section of the map where it fed 4 houses that nothing else touched.
Yeah.
So there was 1 street, it fed 4 houses.
Yeah, and so I was placing first restaurants, so I went right there, right? Like I was like, this is the spot to go to, and I went there. And then Joe and Devin kind of were fighting for the other, I guess it was like 6 houses that the rest of the map kind of had. So anyway, started off pretty strong. We were all doing pretty well. And then, got to the point where Joe, he sees this game different. He just sees this game. He understands this game. And he built a new restaurant out. I didn't even realize that he was getting to that point to where he could build a new restaurant. And he built it right where my corner of the map was. And he put lemonade there. And I could not make lemonade. And he completely destroyed my game from that point on. It's a great game. Somebody is always going to get destroyed in this game. For the last 2 times that we played it, or 3 times, it's been Devin.
Yeah, I've lost badly every time.
I don't know if you've lost as bad as I just lost this game.
No, I have.
Okay.
Here's the thing. The feeling you have for this one is literally the same feeling I've walked away every single time.
Oh, okay.
I've hit it because I'm like, I can think, oh, ultimately that was a really good game. But every single time we have played this until this one, I've walked away being like, that was completely miserable for me.
Yeah.
I understood it was a good game, and you guys had fun, so I was like, yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
But I've walked away.
So, Shelby, to answer your question, yes, first restaurant placement can lose you the game. Can't really recover from that if it's bad enough.
Yeah.
But really, it's in your hiring, right? Like the first couple hires that you do, you're gonna have to hire somebody that can hire more people for you and hire a trainer. Like that's really like the 2 big things that you do. And then you kind of branch off from there, right? Like, am I going to keep on going the hiring route, or am I going to keep on going the training route? Because then there's also a little set of achievements, and it's the first person to do it. So like, I was the first person to throw away food. I made food at the beginning and I threw it away. So for me, that meant that I had a fridge for the rest of the game. I could keep as much food as I wanted without it spoiling. And you guys had to throw, is it 10 or less, or is it just you throw everything
you
away?
throw everything
yeah,
away.
you
You
throw
don't keep it.
everything away. If you get a waitress first, your prices are discounted for everything. So the houses are going to go to your restaurant before the other restaurants. So there's all these kind of little achievements that you pretty much have to decide, I'm not getting that one. I know that's going to help them. That's going to do their game later on. But these are the ones that I'm going for. And we all got the eternal marketing on this game. So we were just marketing tons of stuff. And yeah, I mean, it's a fun game, but somebody's always going to get beat down. In a 3-player version, at least.
Yeah. So it was. I mean, Joe ran away because he always runs away.
Well, the scores were 640 something. 600 it's money. 640 for Joe, somewhere around there. 400 something for Devin. I had 68. I had $68. I was hemorrhaging money, paying my people.
Yeah.
Not being able to sell anything.
Yeah. Joe does very well. He just reads the board better. I can say I win a lot of games, and I'm very good at a lot of games. I am not very good at this game. Joe is very good at this game, and he will never not win. But we'll keep playing it.
I've always had strong starts in this game. I think I've given him the game.
Paul has given away the game twice.
Yeah.
Not counting this one.
Yeah.
2 times he has built something that only Joe benefited from, not even Paul.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I've made a couple mistakes. There'll be one day where I'll take it from Joe.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Or give it to me. Right?
Or give it to you.
That's the thing, right? I was actually decent with Joe on this one. Had you given me the game?
I didn't give him this game.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
Like, had I given you the one, okay.
Had you done something for me, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So
at the end, I said I'm marketing burgers here and just kind of screwed everybody.
Yeah. So that was food chain. We played the Gallerist. So also in BGG, we always play Lacerda. Not always, but we have been the most recent few. We played On Mars, and then we played Weather Machine, and now we're on to the Gallerist. I think next one we'll do Lisboa. Gallerist is kind of his, not lightest, but least rules overhead game, right? That's what it's known to be. It's before, as I once read it, it's before he started adding rules just to add rules, right? So it was a very interesting game. You are art dealers trying to get visitors into your art gallery, and you're basically trying to find artists, buy their art, raise that art value, and then dump that art. I don't know what I'm still very mixed on this one. I think a lot of it comes down to, I don't remember which game. Oh, we were just talking about A Field for Arl. I think a lot of it comes down to I am a end game oriented player, right? I typically like to focus on some sort of end game victory point type of conditions. And this had very few of that, and the ones that it did have were like not super impactful. So for me, the end of the game just kind of happened, right? It was like we got to the end, and it was like, that's the
now
end
what?
Yeah, that's the end of the game, right? And I think I'm not at all saying it was a bad game. I want to play it again now that I understand kind of how abruptly the end of the game is going to happen. What is going to happen with ending of the game. But for me, that's just, I've had this weird feeling of like, I wasn't quite satisfied with the end of the game. And not because I lost, like I fully expect, Joe had played this game 2 billion times, right? I expected Joe to win this game. It was more that I just thought, oh, that's it, right? There was no, I don't know.
Yeah.
No grand finale, if you will.
It was a very strange experience for me, because in all honesty, it should be a game that I very much enjoyed. You know, it's got a relatively strong theme of exactly what you said. You are discovering artists, you are buying their paintings, you're selling their paintings. But for me, it just kind of, I guess I really focused on that aspect of the game of the, okay, now I just went through that loop. Let me start this loop over. Let me go get another artist. Let me go do this. But every time I did that, I really struggled with getting people into my gallery and being able to use those multipliers to increase my influence and increase my money production. Because like I said, I was just going to buy that art and then I would sell it and then the person would leave my gallery and it was just kind of like, okay, this person just left, now I can't use my multiplier because I don't have these people, right? And then I'm looking over at your gallery and you've got tons of pink people and tons of brown people and it's just like, what am I doing here? Like, I'm doing the game. I'm buying paintings, I'm promoting them, I'm selling. What am I missing? And I really think that it just came down to there's, again, those auxiliary actions, the executive actions. And I think that's really where you can game the game. That's where you get those extra things, right? Every time me or Joe would bump you off, you would do that auxiliary action. I would say at the end of the game, you probably had twice as many turns as I did, right? So I did not utilize that properly. Also, I know I just probably wasn't in the best headspace for the game at that time, but it's a game that I've been thinking about a lot lately because I don't, it's one of you. Like, I wasn't satisfied. I should have been satisfied in this game, but I just wasn't. So it is one that I definitely want to try again.
Yeah, that's where I stand. I just want to play it again.
Yeah,
I don't,
and just really see.
I'm not at all saying it's bad. I want to come out saying it's great. That's where I'm at, right? I don't think it was bad, but I want it to be great.
Yeah.
So I just need to try it again. But real quick, talking about what you were talking about, I thought for me, the fame track was the fun part of the game.
Yeah.
Being able to manipulate, oh, I'm going to go down a little bit of money here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go down some fame here to do an action. I really enjoyed that. Doing a game of Lisboa right now, I have the same feeling. I know that I haven't played my best game yet. Need to optimize
Interesting.
more. Yeah, and so Lisboa is the next one we want to try, right? It's kind of at one point in time was arguably his most popular. I think Kanban EV, the second edition, has taken that over, but there was a point in time that everybody raved about Lisboa. Yeah. Joe's a tad bit worried that Paul will not enjoy Lisboa, and that's why we tried the Gallerist first. But we'll see. We're excited to try that one too.
I don't know. Like, I really enjoyed Weather Machine, the playthrough that we played of that one. Did not enjoy On Mars. I think I'm more willing to give On Mars a second chance. I don't think Joe is whatsoever.
I don't think so. He'd burn on that game.
But I don't know. I mean, it's I don't know. I feel like I didn't play the game. That's how I feel like. I did not play the game how it's supposed to be played, and I would like to try that again.
I think we do Lisboa, and then next spring, right, a year refresh, you do the Gallerist again.
Yeah, we'll figure that one out.
The Gallerist.
Great Western Trail. We played this one early in the month. Early in the month.
I forgot we played this.
Great game. Real good game.
Fantastic game. I don't think we need to say much about Great Western Trail. If you don't know what it is, after 2 versions and then 3
other ones.
3 others or whatever it is.
2 others. It's a deck builder where you are trying to get from Kansas City to Texas to Kansas City and sell off some cattle. You've got your engineers, you've got your builders. You can get more cattle. Bunch of different ways to score points, and you really had some amazing rounds at the very end of that game. Some last 2 shooting through from Kansas. You
just kept going to Kansas City.
Yeah, you got some I don't know, locomotive or something. you weren't riding your horses anymore. But yeah, it was a really great game. We've only played the first edition. We played second edition on BGA.
I think so. Did we?
I would assume the second edition's on BGA. I don't know. But either way, it's great. There's not very many changes from the first to the second edition. Just as good. I think we actually have 2 copies of this game, don't we?
We do. Only one up here. But,
okay.
I'm trying to think now, because I know for a fact in BGA you decide if you're wanting to play the first or second.
Oh.
It's like one of the setup things before you start it. I'm trying to think. Did it have TPs or did it have bandits?
I want to say it had bandits.
But I think you're right. I think it did have bandits, so I think we did play.
Yeah.
Anyway, Great Western Trail, it is a fantastic game. We had only ever played this on BGA prior to this playthrough, and I loved it, but it was hard for me to be like, that's one of my favorite games just on BGA. Now playing it in person, I'm like, Nope, that's still a great game.
Definitely one of my favorite games.
One of my favorite games. So I completely loved Great Western Trail. I would play this one anytime. And honestly, I'm excited to explore all the other expansions. Right there, not expansion. Well, they do. They have the Rails.
Yeah.
They have the Rails of the North expansion, which I've heard great things. Right. I think honestly, you would very much enjoy it. It gives more. Like there's these like places you get to deliver to up above the board.
Nice.
And kind of this other thing you do. But anyway, great game. Great Western Trail.
Check it out if you haven't. Gugong. Was it Joe that said this game? Okay.
Joe was like, this is the game for all of us.
Yeah, so we're all very different play styles. Devin is a very much a Eurogamer, head down, end game scoring. Joe is a very much Ameritrash. He wants some randomization thrown in there. We've been trying to figure out what I am lately. I think we might have it nailed down.
Because we're honestly drastically different. It's like it's like a triangle. There's like the Venn diagram portion is very small.
Yeah. So the fact that you and I play so many games together is we play a lot of games that one of us doesn't enjoy all the time.
That's typically usually one of us walks away like I don't want to play that game.
Yeah. But this was a game that Joe was just like, yeah, this is a game that we're all gonna like, and never heard of it. Whatever. Went into it, and I don't even what kind of. It's a hand management.
Yeah, it's a hand management.
Worker placement? I mean, no, because you're placing in sections.
Action selection, I guess.
Action selection,
in a way.
But you can combo these turns, right? So you have these cards, and the theme of the game is you're trying to impress these people.
Theme of the game is nothing.
You're giving these gifts to people, right? So you want to give them better gifts. That's really the theme. So the cards are 1 through 9, and a higher number is just a better gift. So you can go build on the wall, but you just have to play a higher card number that's there. And once you do that, you get to do the action that's on the card, and you get to do the action from that space. So you get this really kind of good feeling of optimizing what's going on. Thanks, Ken, appreciate that. But you just kind of combo all these turns together, and there was a lot of different avenues to reach points, right? There was the center Emperor's track or whatever that you had to get to the top if you even wanted to, the possibility to win the game. You had the wall where you're actually placing stuff out there and building up this wall. You had the shipping port, which kind of made you upgrade your actions. And then all those kind of things. So it's I don't know, it was a really, really enjoyable game. You and I were very close. I don't know if Joe, yeah, you and I were very close. I walked away from it, thinking this was an awesome game. I really, really enjoyed it. It was unlike anything I'd kind of ever played before, and I just thought it did really well.
So I thought it was also great. Michael, I'm going to comment on that, and you think wishing it was optional. What I actually liked was there were so many different avenues of moving up it besides I'm just going to exchange that card and move up it, right? Because you could go heavy on the wall, or you could try and win the end of the rounds by having the most discarded numbers. And so I like that there was different avenues besides, you just have to go to the middle space X amount of times throughout the game. Anyway, I thought it was really good. I obviously really enjoyed it. This is a game that I don't know that I would say it's on my radar, but like, you know, on BGG, when you click any game, it has suggestions. Every game I love, this one comes up, right? But the box looks like that, and so this is what I'm seeing on BGG, right, is this little thing here. So I never click on it, and that was it. Because I see that, and not that I typically care about theme or, you know, but because I see that, never once clicked on it. So when Joe was like, I want to play this game, I'm like, I've seen this 1,000 times, right? It doesn't matter what game I like, this one is suggested. So I'm definitely glad we played it. It had enough that we all got to kind of do what we wanted to, right? I did a very in-game focused strategy and liked it. But yeah,
I think I was leading the entire game, and you came out. want to say it was like 2 or 3 points ahead.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah, I had
that's
a
right.
lot of end
That's
game
right.
points.
You min-max the end
Yeah.
very heavily.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Because I knew I was getting, I think it was like 15 to 17 points at the end. And you were like, well, if it's 15,
Yeah.
you've got it.
I knew what I could win. Like,
Yeah.
I knew my end game. And I think, whatever, I edged out by 2 or something like that.
Yeah,
So.
it was really good. It was like you said, it was good enough that you could do the end game, and I could just get points from everything throughout the game. Ian, what is the Gugong? What is the promo? I'm interested in that. Like, what does it do? How do you cross off stuff?
It's got to be, like...
There's just so much stuff in the game, right?
I'm trying to think.
Maybe going up the Embers track or something.
No, it's got to be something with the swapping of numbers, or you cross off this to take one of the stupid symbols, the pumpkins.
The pumpkin or the heart. Or
I don't know. It's got to be something.
I don't know. I'm interested.
Maybe you, maybe you place a number, and then you can place another number,
That's
but
higher.
it has to be higher.
That's got to be
right,
it.
or something like that, and that's how you earn your stars, right?
Yeah, that's got to be it.
Something of that nature. He's confused.
Right after we played
So we started a day where we played
Tricarion
and
Gallerist, wasn't it?
no, we played the Gallerist after these. What did we play that day? I'm gonna look real. Well, it doesn't.
I'll
matter.
look.
We played 2 games. 2 very long.
Oh, it was Ezra and Nehemiah.
Was it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, then that's why. So we started the day. We played Tricarion, which we'll get to. Took us 3 1/4, 3.5 hours, 3 3/4. We then played Ezra and Nehemiah. Took 3 hours when you really 3.5 probably when we had teach and all. So we were all burnt up here, and we're like, we need to reset.
Food Chain, Ezra and Nehemiah. That was what it was.
That was the 2. Okay. we were like, we need to reset. So we all went down to the BGG library, and we were like, we're gonna pick something dummy simple. Takes 10 minutes. Pick 3 of them. We're gonna spend the next hour playing these. Joe picked up Hues and Cues. Paul was like, you need to put that game down because it's stupid and
I've played it before.
And Devin's gonna hate it. The thing was, because we were in that headspace of just we're gonna go have fun, we just laughed. We just completely laughed. We put no game into this, right? So instead of you normally get a card and you decide which of these little 4 colors you want, no, that was out. We house ruled.
Top left corner.
You pick the top left and you throw out a clue, and that was it, right? I don't remember which one of you literally picked it up and just said bone. And I'm like, oh, there's no white.
And it was red.
There's 0 white in this
That
board.
was Joe.
Right? 0 white on this board. And he says bone, and we're both like, what?
What? There's no gray, there's no black, there's no, And it was like this reddish hue, like up in this corner.
Yeah, and so anyway, it was we had fun.
And then of course my last clue was poop.
Paul and I were in sync in this game. Paul and I were just nailing it. I don't even. It was
grass.
All of these we didn't really keep score. We were just like, we're playing these games and that's it. So that was Hues and Cues. It was worth the laughs. Would I say this is a good game? No. Would I say I would bust this out with
if you had it
gamers?
for this weekend?
No. Would I play this in the exact scenario we had where we were brain fried and just needed to put something on the table? Yes, that was what it was for.
So Ian says you place a number that's bigger than the one before it and you earn the benefit. 1 counts as bigger than 6. Yeah, in Gugong's 1 counts as bigger than 9. Or you can place any number and not gain the benefit. You could do that too. Yeah, that's the same game.
Oh man, I'm gonna talk about this game for 15 seconds. This game was completely garbage. This game was so bad. It's supposed to be this hidden movement game, but you're revealed every, I think, couple rounds. Honestly, it lasted 3 rounds for us. It ends in a battle that is draw 5 cards and whose are higher. That is how the game ends. That is, no matter what kind of hunting you do, that is how your game is going to end, is draw 5 cards, play them out, whose is higher, That was it. It was
I'm
terrible.
glad I missed this one.
Yeah, completely terrible. I would never recommend this game.
King of Tokyo. Wow. May included the end of my school year. So this is a game that I keep in my classroom. You have that week or two at the end of the school year where it's just, let me keep y'all from killing each other and let me keep me from killing y'all. So I'm trying to keep y'all busy. So I taught them King of Tokyo. Honestly, it was a fun game. It's just, one I'm leaving Tokyo, right?
Yeah.
And so the kid that got me out, he goes into Tokyo, and then I'm talking to the kid next to me, and I'm like, look, he's got like 2 health left. Like, just do it. And he's like, okay. And so he unfortunately doesn't roll the stuff, right? So I'm just like, okay. I'm like, it's my turn now. Like, I will do this, but you got my back. He's like, I got you, Mr. Reedy. I got your back. I roll the dice. Whatever. I do 1 damage to him. He doesn't die yet. And I'm just like, I'm in Tokyo. This kid that just like promised me his life, he just straight up rolls like just the perfect amount of dice to kill me. And he just looks at me and goes, you're dead. And I was like, you? Like, we just talked for like a whole round about like how we're gonna work to get these people out, and you just straight up stabbed me. You made me the first one out. Like, it was such a great moment. The kids, like, they all laughed, they all enjoyed it. So it was a ton of fun. I just love having this one in my classroom. It's super easy to teach, and then I really only ever have to teach it to them once, and then one person can teach it to the rest of the kids. Ton of fun. Really, just a really good time playing with it. Le Havre. This one, if you watched our New to Me in 2023, this game was on there. And this playthrough that I just had with Joe solidified this game. I want to say it's definitely in my top 10 now. This is a Yui Rosenberg game where you have, I forget how many different spaces it is. It's like 6 or 7 spaces, but literally all you're doing is you are just jumping one in front of the other in a 2-player game. So Devin wasn't there this day. He went home for something. So it was just Joe and I playing it. And you just go here, you put the resources out, and then you select an action. You either gather resources or you build some type of building. And then towards, the end of the game, you want to sell off your resources, and money is victory points at the end of the game. So you're selling off your resources, your buildings are worth money, you have ships that you're shipping stuff off on. And I don't know, I absolutely love just having this stack of like resources. And then I'm gonna go to Joe's coalter or whatever, right? And I'm going to turn all my coal into coke. So then I can use that coke to power my ships to send off all of my livestock to get more money that way. Or, I've built this building that just gives me more resources whenever I take this action. So, it's my perfect kind of game where it's just I'm gathering a bunch of stuff and then I'm dumping it off somewhere and just gaining those victory points. And it's just a really, really great game. I'm not sure if you would really enjoy it that much.
Y'all said that last time.
Yeah,
I would not enjoy this. I don't know. I watched part of y'all's playthrough.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like it was the parks mechanic of going through the tunnel, right? You're kind of stalling out to get as long as possible to get to the end. Like, I'm gonna hop over you, you're gonna hop over me.
Well, so what's funny in parks is you can skip more than on this one. It's not. This one is literally you are just
what you have to do.
Skipping one over the next. That's what.
So what happens at a longer player game? Is there more?
I'm unsure.
What happens at the end? Is it something refresh?
Well, so to tell you the truth, Joe taught this game. Joe teaches games.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing.
Yeah.
I've never looked at the rule book. In a 2-player, I'm assuming that's how the game is played.
Interesting.
Right?
Because the track wasn't that long.
Because you're right. With more players, you get less turns. So so there you go.
That's what I kind of wondered. So
there you go. So maybe that's why he likes it so much at 2, right? Because
you
and
get
that's
to do more. It's I guess more players, right? It becomes much more of an efficiency puzzle, right?
That makes more sense.
With less players, that totally makes sense, right? So with less players, it's more about
Just gaining as much stuff as you
gaining
can.
as much stuff and just using it. Where less players, now it becomes an efficiency of, okay, I have to be very deliberate because I get 4 players. If it's the same track length, you are literally playing half the amount of turns you're getting at a 2-player game, right?
Yeah.
So that's very cool.
That seems more interesting.
So that to me is like, ooh, maybe I would like it. We just need to play it 4-player.
Well, and it's funny, we've talked about it before. Joe talks about it all the time. He just doesn't like that downtime, and the turns in this game are just very snappy, right? It's just, we're just moving here. We're refilling some resources. I know exactly what I need to do. Boom, that's my turn. Now it's your turn. Boom, that's my turn. Now it's your turn. So you use other buildings more. That makes more sense too. Yeah. So I don't know. I absolutely love it. Like I said, I've only played it at 2 players, but both of those experiences that I've had with this game have really solidified it up there as a top game for me.
Yeah. So that was Le Havre. You talked about it last time. A lot this time. Lost Cities. This one was neat.
Have I never played this game with you?
And apparently Paul has played this game tons.
I have it. I love this game.
So Joe and I picked this up. We picked this and Dorf Romantic up at the same time, right? And so we played this first, complete banger, played Dorf Romantic, and we're like, eh. But Lost Cities, very good.
Yeah.
I got reamed. Completely reamed.
Wrecked.
Right, you play in 3 rounds. Joe doubled my score all 3 rounds, right? Like the first time, I'm like, oh, okay.
I understand.
I'm like,
the game.
oh, okay, that's how you play, right? I do what I think is different, right? Bam, doubles me again, right? So I knew going into the 3rd round, 0 chance of winning, but I'm still like
trying to figure it out.
I'm still enjoying it, right? I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this, put these handshakes here, boom, doubles my score again. I mean, it was the margin of victory there was a straight up chasm. I still enjoyed it. I thought pretty neat head to head. Maybe I just don't understand it. Not sure. Or maybe Joe just really understood it. Neither of us actually walked away being like, oh, that's. But anyway, I thought it was good.
It's really another Knizia game. We've got a couple of them here. But yeah, this is one that actually, Kirsten and I, we went on vacation up to Seattle one day, visit family for one summer. And we found some board game cafe, and this was one that somebody recommended, and we just kind of played it from there. And I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. I ended up buying it. It's one that we've played a handful of times together. But yeah, I really like that handshake mechanic or wager or betting, whatever you want to call it. It's like, I'm going all in here. Like, this is what I need to do. And I mean, if you see that as the other player, you can completely, mess up their plan or whatever. So yeah, it's this nice little push and pull mechanic where you've got the cards in the center that it's like, man, I don't want to give up this card because this is really going to help you, but I really need to give it up because of this kind of thing. So it's a good one. I really like it. It's a good 2-player.
I think I probably risked too much. Joe basically won the game never playing handshakes. I think throughout 3 rounds he may have played 3 handshakes, right? But that's me, right? If you've ever seen me in any kind of push your luck, I push it way too much.
Push your luck.
But I am curious, like, is the strategy, okay, so if I have the high cards in a handshake, right? That makes sense.
Yeah.
But then you gotta like wait and hope you get the low cards, right? But then if you have, right?
Because you have to put the handshake first.
Right. So if I've got a handshake and a 1, 2, and 4, right? Now I was like, because that was kind of my one round, that was my dilemma, right? I'm like, well, I'm holding a bunch of this color, but I don't have anything above a 6, right? And then I just got completely burnt by it because, right, Joe had those, and so he's like, well, of course I'm not playing those down.
Yeah, I can see that you have those.
So, I don't know. I didn't understand it as well as Joe. Didn't prevent me from having a good time. So that was Lost Cities. Mage Wars. I think this probably is the last one that just me and Joe played. Actually, the one after this is. Mage Wars is, I had to search so hard for this,
to find this picture.
Image, right? They have remade this game, calling it Mage Wars Arena and Mage Wars Academy.
I've seen that.
Okay.
That's the same game?
Same game.
Ah.
What they did was they like split the game in half is the best. This is everything. They split the game in half. But this doesn't exist on BGG anymore. Like Mage Wars doesn't.
Really?
You can go to Mage Wars Academy or Mage Wars Arena, and you can, like, normally it says re-implements, whatever.
Yeah.
That doesn't exist. I had to like search for this
Google.
picture. No, it was found like deep in like the Mage Wars Academy images. Like deep in there was this. Anyway, Joe and I got this game basically when it came out, probably.
Is this in the same Mage Knight family?
No.
Okay.
Maybe 2011, 2012, right? And we absolutely love this game. I mentioned earlier, Joe and I are, when it's just the two of us, we play very competitive head-to-head games. That's what this is. You are a mage. You have an entire spell book. And every turn, you pull 2 spells out, which is like your planning. And then you get to do an action where you can cast a spell or an attack or whatever, and you're moving on a 4x3 grid. And honestly, I'm not doing a good enough description. If there was ever like a game that is like, I want to feel like I'm casting spells and that kind of stuff, this is it. Like, you know, there's a Beastmaster. They're making tons of beasts that are going out, right? You see there's the Warlock is the guy in red. He's a guy who, he conjures a bunch of armor and just starts beating you that way. I had a Priestess who was just doing a ton of healing. I had like no armor. Joe would waylay on me, and then I would heal it all back, right? And then have like other guys attacking for me. There was a Wizard that had like stuff to do with the mana, and honestly, we had not played this game in a very long time, but it was one that came back to us naturally. It has 1.5 billion keywords, but they're all easily to reference. But we just knew exactly what we were doing, right? It's like looking at the little player card, it's like, oh yeah, that's what we do. And we just started playing, didn't have to like look back at the rules at all. We played 2 games, had a complete blast. We were both talking, we hadn't played this game in probably 6-7 years, but we were both like, this is a game I'll never get rid of. For the once in 10 years that we play it, it's worth it. And
was this the game that I played once?
Yeah, this
was
literally
like one of my first board games ever.
Second board game.
Yeah.
Paul played Small World, and then he played Mage Wars, which truthfully, on like a weight scale, this is probably like a, I don't know, 3.5, 3.8, right? It's pretty like, there is so much you can do, and to like do it is, but at the same time, it's perfect balance because it comes down to dice chunking. When it's ultimately said and done and you're doing an attack for 6 dice, you're just rolling the dice. And so that's why it works for me and Joe. We have a couple games that fall in this sweet spot. This is one of them. And there it is, Memoir 44. So Joe and I think it's somewhere over here. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, it's right there. Memoir 44. This is a game I got in one of the halls that laughed at.
When we laughed, we poo-pooed on it.
Yeah, laughed
hard.
at. And Joe and I have been saying, we're going to play Memoir 44. We're going to play Memoir 44. This is the best war game for me. I don't ever want to be a war gamer by any means. This does it perfectly. It is quick. It is not a complete wipeout. It's you do some sort of scenario. The scenario is probably going to be lopsided. So whatever player is disadvantaged is going to have some sort of catch-up advantage type of thing because you're playing through World War II, I assume. I don't really know. Whenever 44 was.
44, yeah.
Whichever war that was, you're playing through that one. And it's the first of 5 objectives, and an objective is destroying one of the person's troops. So you don't have to completely like wipe out the person's other troops and field. You just go after theirs, and it just was fun. It was fun. We had a complete blast playing this. The best part was it took 45 minutes. Like, this is one that Joe and I 100% will play again because we'll set it up. It takes, like, I could probably teach Paul this, and we are playing in 5 minutes time. And again, you just, I'm attacking from here to here. I'm rolling these dice, and you killed 2 of my guys with 1 of yours. Dang it. And that was how it went. And we had a blast.
Yeah,
So,
Battle of D-Day. So yeah, it's World War II. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the first campaign is like storming Normandy. So
Yeah.
absolutely.
Mountains over Molehills.
Yeah, this one's not worth talking about much.
Yeah,
at
this
all.
is one that we played right after Nucleum, I think.
sounds right.
Anyway, it's a programming game where you have these little moles. It's a 2-layer board, so you've got these little moles underneath, and you draft a couple cards that say you're either going to go straight, you'll turn left, you'll do this. Again, kind of like After Empire or whatever game that was. It's based on orientation of, so like if I'm playing it here, this is the direction that I'm going, kind of thing. So it's just a pre-programming game, and then the direction that you move underneath, on top you build up some little cubes that signify your molehills, and then they topple over and all that kind of stuff. It was fine for what it was.
Yeah, I
Nothing-
saw this game and I thought, oh, this is going to be a wacky, fun time where
Yeah.
you're running into each other because everybody pre-programmed secretly, so you don't know where people are going. Didn't turn out that way. It really just kind of fell flat,
Yeah.
right?
I think the only
Everybody could basically do whatever they wanted. We had a couple run-ins, but I don't know. Just fell flat. Was not.
Yeah,
was
not the
a
game we
great
expected.
Game. Do not recommend ever taking a look at this one.
Up next, we have Neotopia. So we played. Was this in May? This must have been like the 1st of May.
This was like May 1, if so.
Yeah. So Neotopia is a tile placement. Yeah, tile laying game. Honestly, if you've played the game Reef, you know how to play Neotopia. I think we might have played Reef right after this, or
Yeah,
maybe
so
like later.
I saw this game, we read the rules, and I'm like, this is Reef. And Paul was like, I don't remember Reef. So we played it, and I'm like, Paul, that was Reef.
That was Reef.
And so we played Reef. We'll get to it a little bit later, and Paul was like, oh yeah, that Neotopia was Reef.
Yeah. So on this game, there's basically, you have this map, and there's 4 different sections, and in the middle there's this, I forget what they call it, but it's like a factory that produces these different tiles, and then there's cards, and really you're just trying to make patterns. You're just trying to build out the patterns that are on those cards, and then once you get those patterns built out, you score them, and you get victory points that way for the 4 different sections. The one really cool thing that I did like about this, and a couple other games do it, but it's your lowest region scores triple the amount. So it really makes it to where you're trying to focus on all 4 regions of the board and really kind of push up those victory points on all of them. So that way you're not just kind of neglecting one. But yeah, I mean, it was a decent game. It was okay. Honestly, I think Reef is better.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say. I'll probably never play this game again because I own Reef, and this one did nothing remarkable, and I think Reef is better. It was fine. It's super light, super brainless. You just are matching patterns. That's it.
Yeah, that was Neotopia. New York Zoo. So this one, I started playing this one earlier this month on BGA, and I liked it so much that I pulled out my copy from home and I started playing it solo. So New York Zoo, another Yui Rosenberg game. We've got quite a few of his games on the list this time. Literally, you are just building out a zoo. So you have a player board, and depending on player count, it changes by how many spaces there are. But really on your turn, there's this kind of rondelle that you're going around, and you can either gather animals or you gather enclosures. So if you gather an enclosure, you have to put an animal in there. If you gather animals, you have to have an enclosure or spaces available in your like kind of cells off to the side. Throughout the rondelle, there's sections where the animals will breed. If you have 2 or more of the same animal in that enclosure, they'll breed and you'll get another one. Once you fill out that enclosure completely, then you can get some kind of bonus tiles, some, restrooms or whatever, right? Food courts, all that kind of stuff. This game, in essence, is just a race. It is a race to complete up your map fully, to be the first one to have a completely full map. So there's a lot of kind of planning going on of which enclosures you want. Depending on player count, there's generally like 3 to 4 enclosures on each tile place. So the first ones that you get are bigger spaces, and then as they start disappearing, they get smaller and smaller. So breeding becomes much quicker when you have those smaller enclosures, but you want those big ones because they take up more space. You know, on the solo, it's more of a if you do two, you want to complete your zoo before 2 loops. That's how you win the game. And how many ever spaces you are before the beginning, that's your points, right? So you want to get more than 0 points. So I don't know. It's a really enjoyable game. I've enjoyed that puzzle, the polyomino tile placement from it, and yeah, I forgot how much I liked this game when I first got it years ago, probably during the pandemic. I played it quite a bit of time. But I just kind of really got reinvigorated with it and really like it a lot now.
Yeah, I wish I remembered the game more. I remember really liking this game when I played it. But I also recently played World Wonders, where I was like, I think that before I would say New York Zoo was probably one of my favorite polynomial placement games. You know, taking something like A Feast for Odin out,
Yeah.
I would put that up there. Then I played World Wonders. I'm like, oh, this is a very good polynomial. I think it's probably better than New York Zoo, but I also don't remember New York Zoo enough to. I probably need to play them back to back. So I remember liking it when I played it. Just haven't played it in a very long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I originally got it, and we played it quite a bit then. So number 9.
Oh yeah, this is also we're gonna breeze over.
This was right after Hughes and Cubes.
Yeah, right after Hughes and Cubes. So Hughes and Cubes Joe grabbed. I grabbed number 9. This game, you have a deck that is the numbers 0 through 9 2 times.
Sounds right. Maybe 3. 2 to 3.
2 times. Definitely 2 times. So you are going to shuffle that deck, and then you're going to draw it, and if you draw the number 2, everybody's going to place the number 2. Obviously, that's the first one. Then the next one, it just kind of has adjacency placing, but ultimately, you're trying to make stacks, but the stacks have to fully fit over the top of the tiles, and these tiles are bizarro shapes with lots of holes in them. They do not fit together like puzzles very well. This is not one of my favorite polynomial placement games by far.
It's much harder than what it
It's
seems.
super hard. So your base row is 0, so you at least have to get them. But the bigger shape, or the higher numbers, are also bigger shapes. So it's this multiplier system. We laughed. We thought it was neat. We all made these massive sprawling things. I think our scores were like,
I don't even remember.
They were something close, you know, because none of us did well.
I think we were all in the single digits.
Yeah, we just laughed.
Maybe.
Well, I think it was more than that because there was multipliers to it. But anyway, it was all relatively close. I'll never play it again. It was what it is.
It was fun for what it was.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Notre Dame. Honestly, this is just a very forgettable game for me. We live streamed it, got a very funky board. It's just not my type of game.
Yeah, this game is, I don't know, it's what I would say now is a relatively simple game. I can see, right, if I took this from the view of 2006, 2004, this is probably a banger game then. But because game mechanics have evolved so much, you know, components, right? This is a
cube pusher.
Yeah, this is a bland-looking board that just has regions and placing plain cubes, right? You're the blue player, you're placing blue cubes. He's the green player, he's placing green on a bland board. So for now, 2024, it's nothing spectacular. This is not a game you should go out and get.
I do also think it's going to play better than at 2 players because it's really kind of like a, well, it's not area majority, but I think there should be more of that kind of interaction with it. Oh, it's the drafting.
It's the drafting of the cards. Yeah. So you have this, like, that was really the game, was the way you drafted cards, and it just didn't work as well at 2.
There's variants that I've seen for 2 that should make it a little bit better, but
it was fine, right? Like, it was, again, I think this was probably a very good game, relatively strategic game, mid-weight game, right? Nothing super heavy, but relatively strategic mid-weight game when it came out. But through
time has passed. Yeah,
time has not done well for it. Now, with that said, I would kind of like to at least try it at 3 or 4, only because I feel like the game is in that draft, and it was just a weird thing. It was
I'm getting 2 of your cards, and that's
because you're supposed to, I think, be able to focus into doing something. So like, I'm gonna take all of somebody's card for that region, right? But we couldn't do that. There's only 2 because it's our 2 decks, and there's only 1 in each, right? So we just that I think like made the play like, this is like we're both doing the exact same thing. So anyway, that was Notre Dame.
Nucleum.
Was
this probably the one you wanted to play the most?
Tricarian for sure.
Okay.
But this one I wanted to play a lot. Actually, all mine were very equal.
Yeah.
Right. Gallerist this. I like this game. This is a game I really want to play again. That's where I stand with it. I thought it was just neat. It was neat what you were doing. It was neat how everybody says this is Brass, Barrage, Concordia all rolled into one, right? I can see that. I haven't played Brass, but I know Brass, and I can definitely see.
How many times have you learned Brass?
I've learned Brass a lot. We have said we were going to play Brass Birmingham since our first BGG together, and this, I think, was our 6th. So I've learned it every single one. This game was just, I thought it was good. I thought it was crunchy. I thought the way you had to do your income system, so you played these like tiles above your board, but you also gained income, and basically you could overgain income and not have the tiles to actually collect it, so you had to balance that out. You had to really balance all the actions relatively equally. It was not oh, I can just do this. And you had to plan a lot, right? It was controlling areas, and not controlling, but being a part of areas and
being
whatnot.
part of that network.
It was just good. I really enjoyed it. I want to play this one again. I think this is probably one I will never get to play again, but I really enjoyed it.
I will say this is one that I think I would play it again, like at a con or something like that. You know, the more it's really hard for me to walk away from games being very overly impressed, just because I feel like you and I play so many games, right? That there's always something new out there. So unless a game really, really like hits a chord with me, I generally am not going to go after it. This is one that did have a couple things that I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed the little contract kind of things that you could do, right? So you could get those contracts and just kind of fulfill those things, right? It's my way of just getting points throughout the game, right? And giving you some type of bonus. I enjoyed the networking of the game, right? It's like, oh, okay, going back to the contracts, this contract tells me that I need 5 buildings and oranges. Oh, cool, I've got 3 over there. I can definitely build my way over here. Oh, and if Devin kind of helps me out here, then I can go there, right? So there was that positive player interaction that's going on as well, that like you're building this for you, but really it's helping me out too to get that nucleum from here to here. I think our playthrough of it it was interesting because we had everything connected very early on, and we didn't have to like focus on this complete side of the board, right? The lower right side of the board was just completely undeveloped.
Lower, if you really think about it. So we did it. It was not on purpose. It's just the way it happened. Mostly us not knowing exactly what we're doing. We kind of connected a super not network in the terms the game used, but a super network of trains to where we connected basically all of the coal to. We connected all of the coal together, and then we connected the first nucleum plant like to that, and then a way of where we were getting the nucleum. So like the central and bottom part of the board, it took us a while to ever go there because we didn't need to go there, and it was interesting. It was really cool. I liked the way, like you said, the contracts gave you the technologies, and then those technologies were very powerful, and you got to decide kind of the order you were doing them in, or if you were, doing that one at all. Maybe I'm not, and it was
I don't know. I feel like we didn't get to experience the game fully because of the way that it was built out, right? Like I had some nucleum production going in the bottom left corner of the board that I don't think I ever used.
Yeah,
like I may have used it
the very
once,
end
right?
of the game to ever use your nucleum that were there.
And
right?
so it was like I built that very early on, and I just never needed it.
Paul became a coal baron.
Yeah, I was just like, ooh, this is the game, right? This is nucleum. I need nucleum. And then it was just like, wait, no, I can power all of this with coal.
Absolutely. It was really strange. We didn't build a lot of connections together, which I think you normally do because you're making like, oh, here's a network, and then I've got another network over here, and we're connecting several, like this is going to use this power plant, this is going to use this, and then later in the game, I think, it's more wide open. But yeah,
even then, right? Like, I didn't fully understand how the nucleum plants worked because
he never could use nucleum anyway. He was just using coal. Right?
I was like, I don't understand. Like, what are these things for, right? Yeah. What are the little things for? And I was like, oh, I've just literally never needed them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was an interesting play. I think I would be willing to try that one again just to give it another shot and really see how it plays.
Yeah, and that was another thing. Recommended. Nuts about
mutts. Nuts about mutts. Again, end of the school year. We won't go too much into this one. This is a better Uno. That's what it is.
Okay.
It is a Grandpa Beck's game. I don't know if you know anything about them. They're just all about family games. So this is one that I keep in the classroom. You can match colors, numbers, dog breeds. That's really what it is, right?
Yeah.
So there's those options, and then there's 4 other cards. You have fleas. If you play a flea card, the 2 people next to you have to draw a card.
Yeah.
There is the doghouse card, which I don't remember exactly what it is, but you can switch with the person that has the lowest amount of cards. There's the pedigree card that lets you discard all of one type of breed. And then the last one, there's the mutt card. So in the middle of the board, let's say you're playing with 5 people, there's 4 dog bones. You play the mutt card. Whoever doesn't get a dog bone has to draw a card. That's the game. Honestly, the kids love Uno, and I'm just like, this is better. Let's play this. Yeah. And we play it, and it's another game that they just absolutely love. So
nuts about mutts.
Nuts about mutts. This isn't any better.
Oh no, volcano.
Oh no.
Let me tell you, I think our playthrough lasted 16 minutes. And if it had lasted 17, this would have been a trash game. That's where this game was. Oh no, volcano is it's pachinko? Is that what it's called?
Plinko.
No.
Yeah, it's Plinko.
No.
It's 100% Plinko.
Yes. But I think pachinko is the official name.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Anyway,
it's like tissues and Kleenexes.
It's a volcano, right? I'm pretty sure they're called pachinko machines. Look that up. Anyway, this game is, I'm going to use that word until I'm proven wrong. This game is a volcano that is a pachinko machine.
It's a drama series. Keep going.
And you have these climbers, and you're just trying to collect gems, and you need 4 green gems that are on the bottom, 3 red gems that are on the middle, and 2 blue gems. I don't think those colors are the right order. That are literally the very top row. And you're just moving your stuff up there, but every time you play a card, you have an A, B, and C minor or whatever they are. B minor, you play the B minor, it lets you move 3, you might collect a gem. It tells you the chute that lets you, it's 1 through.
It's a pachinko machine.
I thought it was a pachinko machine.
So yeah, first of all, I'm going to interrupt you because how you even know this, it took me a lot longer than just a Google pachinko.
It's a pachinko machine.
Anyway, it originated in Japan. It's an old arcade game, so I don't know how you know that. Anyway,
Boom!
Plinko.
So, anyway, you drop these balls, and they're going to hit your miners. It's worth a laugh or 2 the first couple times it happens, and then it's if this game had lasted any longer than 17 minutes, it would have gotten so old and so stale. Also, it's luck, right? Nothing but luck. Joe literally just had dumb luck. His guy got knocked off. Basically, every time I dropped the ball, every time he dropped the ball. I'd have 3 guys on the thing. He would recover by putting 1, it would miss all 3 of mine and knock off his. And it's not that happened once. That was the entire game for him. Like, I collected my 8 gems. He had like 3, right? And so it was fun, right? I can remember one, my guy was dang near the top. And right, so if I'm dang near the top, there's like a number 4 and there's 1 break point, and it should, like 50% chance the way this thing's gonna bounce, it's gonna hit my thing, right? And like 2 things in a row, it doesn't hit mine and goes and hits his that's
Straight for his.
way down at the bottom. That's what made it funny. The game it's silly. I would never purchase this game. I'd probably never play this game again, but it was silly. We saw somebody else playing the game when we were in a room that was just us and them, and we were like,
Ooh.
yeah. So we went and asked them, we're like, what is that? They're like, oh no, volcano. So we go look for it, and it turns out this is like in the new game shelf. I'm like, oh,
Really?
Dang, okay. So we go get it. Anyway.
Were you going to keep it for 4 hours?
That was it. Yeah, this was a 17-minute play, and that's all it needed to be.
Ooh, passe trap.
La Vast Trap.
Pass trap.
I'm going to talk about this one for a while. Joe always tries to get me to play a dexterity game. We're at BGG. So when you're at BGG, you have all the games going on.
All the rooms,
places.
all that stuff.
But outside the main hall, they have
Crunkinol, passe trap, tumbling dice.
20 dexterity games set up, right? Joe always, I'll play this. I'm like, no, I'm not playing no stupid dexterity game. And then every time he gets me to play one, and I freaking crush him. First time it was Crunkinol. He was like, we're playing 2 out of 3, right? Crushed him really quick on the first, crushed him really quick on the second. So this time, we're like, let's play. He's like, oh, what is this game? I'm like, I don't want to play this stupid game, right? I don't even look at it. And he's like,
you're just sandbagging him.
he's like kind of reading the rules, you know? And I'm literally like just plunking this thing, and I'm hitting the side. And he's like, we're playing this game. I'm like, no, this seems so stupid, right? I'm like, you're trying to get it through this little hole, and I'm just hitting the side. He's finally like, okay, we put 5 on each side. The game ends when one person has all 10. We hit go, but sink it, right? 44 seconds, I crush him in this game. He is like not getting anything. I totally sharked him. When I was playing with it, I wasn't trying to go in no hole. I was just like flinging the thing, knowing that Joe was gonna make me play this game. And I was like, I'm about to crush him in this. And I did. I totally sharked him. So
2 days later,
we're
walking by.
I'm telling Paul this story, right? And Paul's like, oh, let's play. So him and Joe play, right?
Yeah, so I'm going there, and I'm just like, okay, we got it. And Joe is like determined.
Yeah,
he's
Joe was like,
I'm
gonna
play I got
this game.
humiliated 2 days ago. I'm playing this game.
And so we go from a 44-second game of me and Joe to like a 4-minute game of Paul and Joe. Paul sinks like 4 in a row.
No, it was like 6 or 7 in a row.
And then he cannot finish, right? He's got 1 left and cannot get it.
And it's getting stuck in the center.
Joe chunks a couple through, and then he'll get back down to 1, and he can't get it, and Joe comes to no.
And so I'm at like 2 for a long time. I mean, it's stuck in the center. Joe knocks it to my spot. Boom, sink it immediately. Or I'm at 3 or whatever. I sink it. He comes back. I get it stuck in the middle. I got it stuck in the middle, I don't know, like 4 or 5 times. But every time after he hit it out of the metal, I like sinked it immediately. Like I just knew what I was doing when I had 1 left, and then that 1 would not go through that hole. And finally, after so many, it just went through, and got to beat Joe on that one.
Yeah, so that was La Vast Trap. Next
Petrichor.
Petrichor. I'm going to let these dogs out while
Go ahead.
You talk about this.
So Petrichor is, I don't know. I don't think that works. No.
Boom.
No. Maybe, whatever. Anyway, Petrichor is a area control card drafting type of game where you are manipulating the weather. So you have your cards, and each weather card does something different. So you have a sun card that lets you, I don't remember, grow some type of cloud. You have, that's probably what the rain does actually, you grow the cloud. The sun card lets you put a little raindrop inside the cloud. the snow action lets you do something else. The wind action lets you move one of your clouds somewhere else. So the game is really interesting because there's this type of manipulation where you can bump into other clouds, and when those clouds bump together, they turn into thunder clouds. Or if you have more than 8 raindrops in there, it turns into a thunder cloud. And yeah, it is kind of this mean, aggressive game of trying to control a certain aspect of the board. So I got to play this game a couple months ago at my local gaming group, excuse me, and it was a game that I thought that, you know, Devin would very much enjoy. I really enjoyed the first playthrough of it, and I thought it was thematic enough that Joe would actually enjoy the game as well. And unfortunately, you know, this is a little bit heavier of a game than I'm used to teaching. I messed up a little bit during the teach, and then my very first turn, I messed up the game pretty bad for Devin. That I think might have soured his outlook on the game at that exact moment. Later on, realizing that I made a pretty big mistake, I think we kind of all agreed that we would want to play that game again.
Yeah, so my takeaways from Petrichor. I am not typically a... I think I made it dark by
You did, you moved that away.
I am not typically a area control fan. I don't really play a lot of area control games. With that said, I am very good at area control games. I don't often lose them. I'm just very good at knowing how to manipulate this stuff. So I thought this one was a neat way of just doing area control. And there was really 2 different area control games going on at once, and that is what I liked. You had the board Paul was talking about that lets you do the raining stuff. That's all area control. But then you also had the
voting system.
Voting, which was another form of area control. And that to me was the game that I really enjoyed, and how to manipulate that for it to always be what I wanted. I think in the 4 rounds we played, it was always the thing I wanted it to do, right? And I made it happen in my favor. And so
yeah, because that's so there's different phases, right? So you have the weather phase, and then you have the actual like the harvesting phase, Canadian, not harvesting, but whatever the other phase is, and they have to happen in a specific order. So throughout it, you're voting, and that's really like what you're saying. You are controlling what weather was going to happen, and that's really a big part of the game, right? So that kind of gives you that forward planning that I know that you like in games. You're like, I need to do this because I know I'm going to do this. So I don't know. I think it is a game that I would hope to try again with everybody, because I really did enjoy my first playthrough of it. And unfortunately, like I said, I
yeah, it was a rocky start.
Yeah, it was a very rocky start.
To put it, but I think we all recovered. We all.
But I also think it's a sort of difficult game to teach, because it's just a different type of game, right? Like once we started playing it, I was like, oh, this just makes sense, right? I remember my first time somebody taught it to me, I was like, I don't understand what we're doing. But then it was like, oh, okay. Yeah. I get it.
And you know what, to your point of that it looks mean, sometimes area control games can be that way. I actually don't think it was. You could never... that's what we screwed up, right? Was basically what we thought was the mean mechanic. But basically the way the rules are written, you can never not react or not see your opponent's plan coming. They can't just do something drastically that you cannot either have foreseen or react to. One of the two. So I don't find it super mean. I think it's an area control. It's always going to be you're trying to somehow rob somebody of an area.
Yeah,
I think it's
the only way in that game that you can manipulate somebody else's piece is the wind weather action, where it's when all the raindrops are on the actual board and you can actually move somebody else's rain.
Yeah,
right?
But even then it's very minor.
It is very minor.
One piece total, and it's very much, well, I could just move it back, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I don't care as much of that.
So what are we in Petrichor? I don't know what we are. We're gods that control the weather.
Yeah, I think we are the weather.
We are the weather, I
I
think.
think it's what we are.
Actually, that's exactly what it is, right? You're playing the sun, and that's adding rain to the clouds. I guess it's the evaporation.
I think
That's got to be what it is. You are the weather.
You're definitely controlling the weather. I'm not exactly sure what a viewpoint you have taken, but you are controlling
Michael,
the
if
weather.
you ever do get the chance to play it, if you can find the deluxe version, it doesn't really add anything to the game. But the clouds are like actual standees, and they're elevated off the board. The ones that we played with, they were just little cardboard on the board, right? So like when you rain, it actually kind of like falls off of the cloud and onto the board, and the little thunder things get on there. It just makes it look a little bit nicer. So, yep, that's Petrichor.
Petrichor. Potion Explosion. Man, had not played this in a very long time. I'll let Paul talk about Potion Explosion.
Potion Explosion. This is a game that I own in my collection. We actually played this one at BGG, but it's been a very long time since I played it. First time I played it was with Carson. It was introduced to us as Candy Crush the game. So you have this really cool plastic piece with just tons of marbles.
Loud as can be.
Loud as can be. Don't go into a quiet area like we were. But you just pour the marbles in there and then they come out. So then you're just drafting marbles and trying to complete little potions. So, you know, let's say there's a blue, a black, and then a blue. If I draft that black one, then the two blue marbles will collide and they get to explode. So then you take both of those blue marbles and then you get to add them to your little potion. So, you know, playing with my wife, I very much enjoyed it just for the game that it was. I played it with Devin for the first time and realized, oh, this is not what I thought it was as a game. Devin plays this game how it's supposed to be played.
Yeah. This is like an abstract game. I love abstract games. I don't take this as like I'm just gonna take this piece and
that's what I thought it was.
Not some blues together. Like I use the.
You will lose a victory point every turn.
To min max, and I complete potions every single turn, if not all of my potions every single turn. I completely love Potion Explosion. Unfortunately, Paul knew that.
Yeah.
Paul knew exactly what was about to happen when we started playing Potion Explosion.
So this was right after the Gallerist.
This was after the Gallerist, and it was going to be
the last game of the con.
This was going to be our last game of the con, right? And I don't know that Joe hadn't really played this or knew about. So he grabs this game, and when he grabs it, I'm like, oh, okay. Like I haven't played it in a while. I think it's good and fun, but it wouldn't be one I would ever have picked. Right?
Yeah.
But Joe was thinking, I'm just going to play a simple game.
We're playing Candy Crush.
Yeah, we're playing Candy Crush and grabbing this.
And I told Joe, I was like, I don't know that, and he's like, no, 20 minutes. I'm like, it's not going to be 20 minutes. Like I can tell you that.
Yeah, and
Joe's just very into it.
Joe does not realize that Devin is about to like go
ham,
full gamer, neckbeard on this game.
I knew I was prepared.
I crushed them both, and
the game lasted 25 minutes longer than what Joe had wanted it to.
Yeah, exactly. I enjoyed every bit of it because I think it is a good game. It's just not one I typically ever gravitate toward.
Yeah.
And I just enjoy it. I still enjoy Potion
So
Explosion.
I think the takeaway, the takeaway from this is there's two different play styles of this game. Yeah. Me and my wife play it the same. Devin and Dave, Board Game Dave, we played this on his channel. Y'all are the same. Yeah, you both made comments after the game. It was like, Paul, you never used your little helper to and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to lose points.
Yeah.
Right. So know your audience with this one.
Yeah.
Play it with similar players.
So that was Potion Explosion. Good finishing the con for me. I think Joe was completely miserable for 45 minutes, but I thought it was great.
Reef, we talked about.
Yeah, we can talk about it really quick. This is Neotopia, but the better version.
Yeah.
Better in that you get nice little chunky plastic thing.
It's nice.
And you stack, which I think
3D
is great.
element.
Reef, very simple. You have a 5x5 grid. You are drafting cards that you're trying to make that, or you're drafting cards, or not drafting, you're taking cards, or you're playing cards, right? When you play the card, it tells you to play 2 colors of coral. You play those colors. You see if you make the scoring conditions. If you do, you score it, and you go. Turns are super snappy. The game ends in, I don't know, 20 minutes.
Yeah, sounds about right.
I think because this game exists, Neotopia is like a truly never play, because I think this is just the better version for sure. So.
Ooh, no dice thrown.
No dice
no
thrown.
No dice thrown.
We did we play last month?
Yeah, we had.
We recorded a decent amount of dice thrown last time we played it. So yeah, we also knew just
we were out a couple Fridays. We would be at BGG Con. We had our races, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, unfortunately, no. Res Arcana.
Res Arcana. So
we played this one. Yeah, we're making our way.
Yeah, Paul and I are trying to knock out games that we're just playing games.
1, 2, 3, 4.
What we got next? Next up, we got Verdant.
We've played that one. We can skip it.
No, we can't skip it. That's not the way it works. Anyway,
Prism Arena is still in wrap.
I think that's also 3-5. Oh no, it's 2 to 4. Anyway, Res Arcana is a game that I have never thought is remarkable. This game has so much hype. I don't see it. I don't know.
Yeah,
I feel like it's a game I should like. You're supposed to create a little engine of resources.
It's a very tight game with very little. I don't want to say very little actions, but yeah, it feels like there's just not a lot of stuff that you're doing.
To me, there's something missing.
It's a race.
Something missing.
It's a race to 10.
Yeah. All I feel like is I'm getting some resources and I'm buying the best thing I can, and then I'm doing that again next turn. And I understand that there's some exchanging and like trickiness that you can do to gain a little more resources. And normally that's something I would completely love. But there's just something missing in this game. There's some piece, and I don't know what it is. This was now my third or fourth playthrough of it. It's just still not clicking for me.
Yeah, I don't know. This is one that I've heard that you need to play quite a few times. You need to kind of repeated plays kind of teaches you those cards that are out there and all that kind of stuff. Although you only get 10 cards at the beginning of a round. But I don't know. Yeah, it's a game that for me. This was my third playthrough. It's the first time you beat me on it, which I was a little bit sad about because we both reached that 10 right towards the end. But yeah, I mean, it's quick. I don't know if we played it at 3 once with Joe.
Yeah, I've always found, I agree, Michael.
Yeah,
I think it's quick,
it's
but
fine.
it's just, right, magic is the best way to put it. There is some spark missing.
Yeah.
So.
For an engine builder type game, I would much rather play It's a Wonderful World,
Yeah.
right? It's going to play in the
same amount of play time and much better.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Res Arcana. Hopefully the last time it's ever on this list, because now that we've passed it, I never plan to play this game again.
So Clover. So this was the third game after our long one, and this was one that I picked. So So Clover. It is, you have this clover piece, right? And then you've got, what is it, 8 cards? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? Yeah. No, there's 8 cards. There's 2 on each side.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying by cards.
Yeah, it's the actual cards,
technically
right?
It's 5 cards. Or technically it's 4 cards on the clover because they share sides. But anyway,
Anyway,
point
you
being,
have some
cards.
8 words. You have 8 words. I see what you mean. Okay,
Yeah.
You have 8 words with 4 cards. And so they kind of go around the edge of this clover. So how we played it, I don't know if this was the actual rules or not.
We may
but
not
how
have
we
played the
played
actual
it
rules.
is
by
we
any
just
we also took no
placed,
score.
we placed these 4 cards just randomly on this clover, and then above on the little space, you're supposed to write a word that matches those 2 words together. So for example, I think I had relaxed, and that's what it was. There was rain and something else. I don't remember. Book, yeah. And so like I wrote relax on top, right? And then, I don't know, you had scary, and it was like closet and skeleton or something like that, right? So, you know, Joe and I would make our clovers, and then Devin was the one guessing, or Devin and I made it, Joe was the one guessing. So we would take the cards off the clover, add an extra one in there just for like a little deception piece, and then the 2 other people had to come together and figure out what words matched up, and I don't know, it was fun.
Yeah, like Hues and Cues, like number 9. We went into this, we're just playing it quick. I don't know, and we don't know if we were playing the exact rule. We put the 4 pieces there, and then like that was our choices. I think you're supposed to technically like manipulate it and decide what you want. We didn't do that. That's your choices. Pick a word that makes them go together, right? And so you would have like 2 bizarre words you had to make them go.
Yep.
And then yeah, you just try and mimic it to what it was originally. It was worth a lot of laughs, discussion, like, oh, maybe he was thinking this and that, and we would take these wild rabbit holes, right?
Depression.
You know, I don't know. It was just, yeah, we would go down.
I don't know. My favorite one.
And then we'd be like, what? How is that wrong? Like, we were shocked that you didn't take this mile-long link to connect these words.
My absolute favorite one was your words. The clue was Tarantino, right? And so Joe and I are just talking. I think like...
So Joe doesn't know movies. He doesn't know none of that stuff. He definitely doesn't know Quentin Tarantino at all.
So I'm seeing Tarantino, and Joe is saying like...
One of them said something like 3D.
3D, yeah. It was something 3D. And Devin was like, or Joe was like, oh, 3D has to go with Tarantino. And then I was like, there's no way that Tarantino is going to have Kill Bill in 3D with blood just splattering everywhere. And then I look down at the cards, and one of the cards is Bill. And I'm just like, it's Kill Bill. It's Tarantino.
Yeah.
And so like I put it on there, and it was just like this whole long way of like getting that. And afterwards, you know, it's just kind of that smile. Like Devin was just like, "You said Kill Bill."
Yeah,
and it was, like,
as soon as he said
so
Kill Bill, I'm like, yeah.
And then I remember Joe put one where it was like depression or something like that, and I was going down the way. I was like, "Oh, there's dessert. You eat dessert when you're depressed, and there's napkins, and you blow your nose when you're depressed, and this and that."
Yeah. So we linked up. I think it was dessert and love. And we, in our heads, made it be that Joe would put the word depression for dessert and love over, you know, Valentine or something like that.
Or partner.
Because we were like, oh, you eat when you're depressed, and
you're depressed
it's
because of love.
you had love that you all broke up with. It's just, again, we had a lot of laughs. Honestly, I think it was
one that I would for sure play again.
Yeah, I think, truthfully, maybe not number 9 and play again, but I think we did a great job with those 3 games. We played all 3 in under an hour, and it picked up like our burnt brains and allowed us to just, I think we went on to do the Gallerist or whatnot, and it was what we needed, the perfect refresher.
Speakeasy Blues. You remember this game at all?
No.
Speakeasy Blues was the dice drafting game.
Yeah, what?
Remember? So we are in.
Oh yes.
We're
okay.
in 1920s. What is it called?
I don't know. The Roaring 20s.
No,
is
when
what
there's
this
no
says.
more
Prohibition.
Prohibition. So we're in 1920s Prohibition,
and
we are trying to build out speakeasies. Yeah, that's what you're doing.
Oh,
so
duh.
in this speakeasy, you are trying to recruit crooked cops. You're trying to put off the gangs from the city.
That's
You're
right.
trying to get jazz music played in there. You're trying to do some soirees, right?
Yeah.
Trying to build up your reputation. Then you're also buying off yachts and all this kind of stuff. You're inviting famous people, baseball players to your stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, you've got like this kind of tableau where you are playing cards, and then you're playing cards on top of that, kind of negating that card that you just played. Honestly, we walked away, both of us, just very unimpressed, as you can tell. You don't even remember it.
I remember now the mechanic, right? The thing that I think is the game is there's 2 dice of 5 different colors. And so every turn you're going to, it's the Raiders mechanic, right? You're going to remove dice, freeing up those worker spaces, and you're going to roll them, and then you're going to select 2 dice, and you're going to place them, right? Not necessarily the Raiders in that you do those actions, but you remove, freeing up spaces, and then you place, right? But you have to pick a pair of colors, so when you're rolled, you have to then decide, oh, well, I really want to do that action, but that's tied with that action that I don't really care about, or, you know, maybe I do these 2 actions. or maybe it was like, I really want to do this action, but I can't do that other one. So I'm just going to do these 2 lesser ones that I at least can do and get benefit from. I think that was really supposed to be the game. I think it was fine.
We walked away with it saying that it needs to be a higher player count because the dice weren't refring enough.
That was right.
We were just kind of going for the same things over and over.
Nothing was refreshing, right? It was, it would be, I would roll a green set of dice, and then it's like, well, of course I didn't want these others, so Paul's going to take the green set, and then he's just doing the green ones again because those other dice were not very good. You're right.
So it needed another player to be able to kind of just refresh stuff, or, you know, like some type of mechanic that's like clear this and clear this kind of thing. So I think it was okay. I think I'd want to play it again just with more players.
Yeah, probably. Who won this? Did you win this?
I have no idea. I'm assuming you did.
I can't even remember. Most of the time I remember winning the game, but I can't remember this or to save my life.
Stone Spine Architects. So Stone Spine Architects, this is another game in the world of Role Player. Where's Role Player? Somewhere around here. Lockup.
I don't own Role Player.
You don't own Role Player. In the Role Player universe, right? So you've got Lockup. That's in that same universe. Cartographer's universe. So anyway, Stone Spine Architects, you are apprentices to Horngully, which is this minotaur right here, and he's a dungeon master, so he's trying to build out dungeons. So in the game, it's got kind of that cartographer's feel to it, to where you are there's goals for each round, right? So, or end game scoring, so you're trying to build out this dungeon to kind of match these things, so you can have kobolds, or you can have goblins, or you can have traps in there, and so you're trying to basically build your there's an entrance to it that you want all the roads connecting to gain you victory points. There's an exit, and if you can connect both of them, it's worth like double the amount of victory points. So it's just this big point salad kind of game of trying to fulfill building requirements, and then just trying to just kind of go from there. So I played it solo also. The solo does a good job at buying some of the stuff from the market that you're interested in. It does a good job at taking some of those contracts that you might want. So I think it's a great solo. It lets you play the game what you want, but it does block some of those actions. So it's one that I really enjoy. It's kind of on that same level of like a cartographer's kind of play. So I really like it.
That's in that realm, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, the Lockup cartographer's role player, is that is that the 4?
Yeah, I think that's what it is, yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to try it at some point. I watched your playthrough and I was like, oh, okay, I think I understand the game enough that I could probably just start playing
very
it.
simple.
So, yeah, we'll have to try it 2-player.
Super Mega Lucky
Box.
Let me tell you, this is a game that I'm very sad that you and Joe did not enjoy. I went into this one thinking it was going to be a banger. I really did. This is a flip and write. You literally have these boxes. They're a 3x3 grid. You flip a number, you cross off that number. If you cross off a column or a row, you get this little bonus action.
That's the game.
That's the game.
That's the game.
Yeah, at the end of the game, you get points for, if you finish it round 1, 2, 3, or 4, you get points for moons collected. It's another little resource. You've got this little modifier dice thing, and it was just a flop.
It was the decision space in this game is like a 0.1 out of 10. You have no decisions. A 7 comes up and you only have 1 7, so that's the one you cross. And I don't know. I thought this game was terrible. I hate to say that because I know that Paul really likes. But I thought this game was just complete trash.
It makes me so sad. Like,
and Paul was so excited, and we were like, "Oh, okay," And then it was like, when he explained it, we're like, "What?" That was kind of like, "What?" You're gonna reveal a number, and then we cross it off. What's the game, right? And that was our takeaway.
Like, what was very unfortunate for me was, like, I knew this was going to be after a Nucleum, a Tricarian, a Gallerist. Like, our brains are fried. This is what we need, right? It was also after Nucleum, I think, which was my very first game of the con. And you guys weren't, burnt out at this point or anything yet. But also just super unfortunate that Joe's like first cards that he gets are 3, 4s, and 5s and nothing else. Right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that was
so
he
yeah,
was super mega unlucky.
yeah. So we start the game, right, and Paul explains it, and Joe's like looking at his stuff, and he's like, I don't have any 1s, 2s, or 3s.
Yeah.
And Paul just goes, oh, that's just the game. And then he reveals the first, like literally, that's how Paul says it. He goes, oh, that's just the game. And he reveals the first card, and it's like, it's one of those numbers, right?
Yeah.
And we just laugh.
And then it just kept happening. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm glad this game is on BGA because I will play this and can't stop all the time on BGA.
Yeah, and I think nobody should ever play this game. So, anyway.
Trailblazers.
Paul has played approximately 4,000 games of this month, so let's talk about every single one of them.
Tons of solo games on this one. So again, I've been on BGA quite a bit. I saw that this one was on there and I was like, oh, it's been a long time since I played it. Let me try it out. And I saw it and I absolutely loved it. It's again, it's that kind of stage that I'm at in my life where the solo gameplay is achievements, right? So played it once on BGA, and then I went home and got mine out that I had and started playing it there. And so basically, like I said, there's just achievements in this game. Let's rewind a little bit. The game is another tile placement game. So you have 3 distinct types of trails. You have hiking trails, biking trails, and kayaking trails. And you're gonna draw 8 of them on your turn, and then you're gonna pick 2 of them to place. And eventually you want to have this trail start at the camp and end at the camp. The longer the trails are, the more points they score. There's landmarks, there's all these kind of things. But the shapes are all sorts of funky shapes that you have to kind of make, and you can overlay them to get them to go the right direction and all that kind of stuff. So the first couple of scenarios for the beginning are the tenderfoot ones, and it's just get this amount of victory points. So the first one is 30 victory points. So again, it's been a long time since I played this. I failed the first time I played it, and I was just like, oh, I was at like 27. I can definitely get it the next time. So I do it the next time, crush it, right? Like 35, whatever. I'm like, cool, let's move up to tenderfoot 40. So I'm on that one, and again, 38. Okay, let me try again. 39. Let me try again. 40. So I'm like, sweet, I did it. I'm good. Let me try to do this one a couple more times just because I barely got it right. And this is what I was saying earlier, right? You like your 2 hours for one game. I've played 4 games back to back, 2 hours of just Trailblazers, right? Each one is 15 minutes, whatever. So then I get to tenderfoot, and so now I'm at 50, right? And I'm like, all right, I can do 50. I've been stuck at 50 for the last week and a half. I cannot get 50 points. I'll play this 2-player on BGA. I'll score 56, 60 points. I can do it. But there's in-game and end-game scoring. Mm-hmm. When it's just the tenderfoot, it's not. It's just score 50 points off of your trails. I've gotten 47, 48 points, and I'm just like, I don't know what else to do. So I'm at this little plateau right now where I can't beat the 50. But again, it's what I like. It's what I like from the game. It's that little puzzle that I'm just trying to work my way through. So I don't know. It's a ton of fun. Definitely want to play it with more people. But for right now, the solo is very enjoyable.
Yeah, I think I played it once. I enjoyed it. Don't have much more to add to that.
Yeah, so this guy, he made Curious Cargo. Same guy. Same designer.
You know what? I learned Curious Cargo thinking possibly me and Joe would play it if we had downtime.
Yeah.
Seems decent.
Same designer.
I want to play it. Tricarian.
Tricarian.
This was, well, arguably, I guess I looked forward to this Nucleum in the Gallery. It's about the same. But this is a game I have wanted to play since, I believe it released in 2017. I have known about it since then. I knew about it when it went on Kickstarter. I've always wanted to.
And why have you wanted to play it?
I have always wanted to play this because I love magic.
Yes.
I love magic.
And so when Joe hears that, he thinks,
so
yeah.
I say to, I'm like, we're playing this game, and I just want you guys to know, I love magic.
So I think I've known this.
And so, Joe and Paul are across from me, right? And Paul instantly knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And Joe thinks he instantly knows what I'm talking about. And Joe's like, you're talking about like spells and fireballs.
Yeah.
And,
We're making fireballs
yeah,
and manipulating this stuff.
Like magic, like, epic fantasy magic, right? And I'm like, no. I do love that magic, but I'm talking about like
illusions, Michael.
Illusions, Michael. Yeah. And so I've always wanted to play this. I don't care about theme and a lot of things. I say that a lot of times. But I want to play this for the theme, right? This is you are a magician. And I think knocks it out of the park. This is a worker placement game. Very, very, very heavy worker placement game. Probably one of the heaviest worker placement games I have ever played. And you are a magician that has to go out and buy your tricks. You then have to buy the materials.
Illusions, Michael.
Illusions. Yeah.
We'll cut that there.
Cut the saying right there. You have to buy the material, and then you have to go to your workshop. You prepare the tricks. You go backstage. You practice the tricks. And then you go front stage, and you perform the tricks.
Ooh, Ken, I'm excited.
Ooh, I do love magic. But I thought it was fantastic. This game was exactly what I wanted. I'm not going to say that this was the best game in the entire world, but I definitely walked away saying this was my favorite game play of the con, for sure. I just thought it was really well done. I would play it again anytime. I would also be okay if I didn't ever play it because I at least got the experience that I got to play it. It's just done really well. Very heavy. Theme is, I think, I felt the theme was very incorporated into it. Very well, and yeah, that was Tricarian.
This game for me, complete surprise. Like I went into it. Generally,
He went into it thinking this is one of Devin's heavy games that we're gonna drudge through.
Yes,
we'll
that's
be honest,
what I went into thinking.
They limit me to 3 a con. Games
because they take 3 to 4 hours.
That I can expect. They limit me to 3 a con, and most of the time they know this is a game we're going to drudge through because Devin really wants to play it. So anyway, we're practicing. That's what
we went into it. And you know how I'm with games. I will look them up. I know the themes. I know generally their weight. I knew nothing about this game. Like I went into it not knowing. I haven't even looked it up. You saying it's a 3.9. You're saying it's the heaviest worker placement game that you've played. Like that still just kind of blows my mind because it makes so much thematic sense. Everything in that game, like it just flows so well. And then, I mean, I'll give you a lot of props. Your teach of it was just like super engaging. And even Joe, like he was super into this is not Joe's game. Like this is closer to my game than what it is for Joe's game, right? He might be better at them than me generally, but I enjoy them. But your whole thing of this is where you prepare, this is where you practice, this is where you perform. It just made so much sense that it was like, yeah, I need to buy these illusions up here. Oh, I need my mirror. I have to speed rush it. I messed up. We need it immediately, right? Then to even like you licensing my tricks from me, right? Like you like, ooh, I'm performing your whatever. And then that gives me kind of like a bump up also. Like just everything about it, just it flowed so smoothly. I've said it before, like viticulture, it's a game that I don't enjoy, but I always will know how to play that game. It just makes perfect sense. This is another one. This one is, yeah, this is another one that literally like, I'll have to remember a couple rules here and there, but if we go to BGGCon a year, 2 years from now, this is the market, this is where the tricks are, this is the stage, this, like, it just makes sense, right? Like,
You're absolutely right.
That's
you
exactly
always,
what it is. Yeah. And to me, it's just such an accessible game that it legitimately did not feel like a whatever the weight is. It's just very much enjoyed it. It's like neck and neck with my favorite play of the game, right? Yeah. Like it's right there. Yeah. I think I enjoyed this one more than my other one, but my other one, I don't know. Like it's just such a good game.
Yeah. So that was Tricarian. Over to Turing
Machine. Yeah, this must have been early on in the month. It's just a Turing Machine. I've talked about it so many times. I love it. It's a great solo puzzle, just trying to figure out numbers and trying to beat the machine. And that's all it is. I mean,
Yeah.
we've talked
Yeah,
about
we've
it so
talked
many
about it.
times.
Yeah.
Great little game.
Ken, if somehow I ever find the game on sale, I will get it, and Paul and I will do a playthrough of Tricarion because I would play it again.
Yeah,
think
I
Paul
would play it again. I would for sure.
It's fantastic.
Be
and-
prepared for 3.5 hours.
Yeah, it'll be a long one, but it's fun, right? And it's fun knowing we got into I am performing
The
performing the
chains.
rings and the
Yeah, the rings, that's what it
chains
was.
and the, you know.
What did he do like a headless one?
I don't know. He went super deep. Right? It was like not,
Yeah.
you know. And mine was like it was like a tank escape into
That's
like
right.
the dancing skeleton, right? So I was
Yeah.
like, I failed my tank escape. Now I'm the dancing skeleton.
Yeah.
So yeah, it probably would be a decently entertaining watch for sure. We played Unmatched.
So it wasn't Hell's. We played the Hell's
we
Kitchen
played
map.
one.
Oh, we did. We
Yeah,
played Bullseye.
We played
That's
Bullseye.
right.
This playthrough is going to come out sometime this month, so we won't go too much spoilery.
Maybe not even this month.
Maybe next month, sometime. But we played Bullseye and we played Golden Bat from
the
Tales
first
of the Maze.
superhero. Yeah.
So last showing of Bullseye, he got completely beat down by Daredevil. If you remember that playthrough, that was the one that Daredevil just whooped him.
Yeah.
So
So we gave Bullseye another shot.
yeah, so
at,
we wanted
redemption.
to give Bullseye another shot.
And then Golden Bat was one that we haven't shown in a two-player playthrough. I highlighted it in the solo play.
Yeah.
But yeah, Golden Bat, Unmatched is always just a fun time. Right?
Yeah,
it's just a nice little card
it's typically
dueler.
pretty quick, 30 minutes or less. There's I don't know that we've ever seen a way to heal. I don't believe there is, unless there's some sort of scheme thing that does it.
Yeah, I can't think of anything.
So I think that's to its benefit in that like it's not gonna draw out the game.
Yeah.
It's you're gonna waylay some punches to each other and
Possibly defend if you can.
yeah, see who comes out on top. And I think it's just done
Yeah, it's a
really
fun
well
little system.
with each of them being unique. So I always like Unmatched.
War of the Rings.
War of the Rings, the card game. Talk about thematic.
This was a Joe game.
This is a Joe game.
And actually, I'm assuming he picked it because he knows you like.
Yeah.
Lord
This
of the
one
Rings.
was absolutely. This walks you through. We played the short game, which is like supposed to be, I guess, just the Fellowship of the Ring. So it was 7 out of the 12
Ooh, gonna check that out.
scenarios or something like that. I think I don't remember exactly off the top of my head. But anyway, one side plays, the free people, and the other side plays the shadow, and it's you have, I don't even know how to explain it. Yeah, you have a couple of different battlefields, and you commit forces. You compare strength. You get victory points. If anybody's ever 10 ahead, they automatically win. Otherwise, you just go to the end of the game. It was good. It was not my favorite by any means. We had a very weird ending, and Joe and I do not disagree about a lot of things, and we had not a heated disagreement, but we had a pretty strong disagreement on like the ending of the game. Obviously, it's hard because it's opinions, and
Yeah.
I see my viewpoint and he sees his viewpoint, but he thinks that I not dominated, but I was winning handedly the entire game, and it came down to the end. And I'm not saying anything. Joe did a very good strategy. But basically, he committed all in on the very last thing because his side benefits from like overwinning. My side doesn't. My side can't overwin. His side can. And so it was every bit that he overwins is an extra victory point. So it was enough to like
Push him over.
lap my lead, right? Type of thing. And so anyway, it was an interesting play that we were both like, because of the ending, we're like, oh, okay. I personally don't know that I would ever play it again because it's just not the type of game I would typically want to. I can think of a lot of other card games, like one that comes off the top of my head is like Warhammer 40K Conquest, something like that I would rather play that's very similar in this style. But thematic-wise, you are literally walking scene by scene through the Lord of the Rings, and that part was pretty cool.
So with this one, there's War of the Ring, the card game, and then there's the actual War of the Ring, right?
So, which is the big
the
epic
difference, I'm assuming this one is walking you through the story, because from what I've heard with War of the Ring is you're creating your own
War of the
story.
Ring is going to be your own story, right? Like completely, you're playing on Middle Earth. I think again, somebody's playing the Free People, somebody's playing the Shadow, but you're going to have your own story, right? You may battle in Gondor and then at the Black Gate or whatever type of thing. This is literally round 1, very beginning of movie 1, right? And then like round 2 is,
maybe this is the summer I watched Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Instead of that, the last 3 summers.
Maybe, and then you go play this and you'll understand this game.
Yeah.
So.
The White Castle.
The White Castle. So I said Tricarion was my favorite playthrough of the week. White Castle, hands down, best game of the month, right? For sure.
For me, it's funny. Tricarion was like my favorite game we played. White Castle was my favorite experience, honestly, because you enjoyed it so much. That was like really what kind of like pushes it over, right?
So like White Castle, Paul was wanting us to play a year ago.
Yeah.
A year ago, wanted us to play White Castle.
Or maybe it was in November.
He picks it up the first day of the con, and we're like...
It had just released.
We're not in the mood for that, right? We make him put it back. Never do we see the game again.
Yeah, I was just like, no, we have to get it.
Every single time, and it's constantly gone.
Constantly in the library,
and we felt
refreshing.
So bad.
Yeah. It was like my one game that I really wanted to play.
So anyway, White Castle is, we talked about Aquatica long ago being a combo-y game. That is all White Castle is it is combo-tastic.
9 turns.
You have 9 turns to do the most you can. You are doing one very simple thing on your turn, but you can combo that into just so much. It's a fantastic game. Paul nailed this one. He said, Devin's going to love this game. This is a Devin game. He did not lie.
Yep.
This game was truly fantastic. I would play this game absolutely anytime. This is probably up. I have to really think about it, but even after one playthrough, this is probably up there on like favorite games for me.
Yeah, this game, I mean, it's everything that I had wanted from it. Now, again, we did slightly mess up a little bit on the teach with the getting the card, getting to do that one extra action, right? But thankfully, it
was a very minor.
It was very little
very minor thing.
And we all had done it. We all had not done it, so it didn't affect too much. But man, it's just so satisfying to like get that one orange dice and be able to place it here, but then do everything, right? Just like, ooh, now I'm gonna send my warriors out to train, and then that's gonna let me get my little gardens over here, and then I'm gonna move up on the heron track, and there's just like so much just like cascading things that you say you have 9 turns, but you have so much more than that, and it's just that timing again of like, what am I gonna do first, and then there's the element of, oh man, you just took that low dice that I needed to do my lantern action. Oh great, now I have to take this one, and I don't get to do exactly what I wanted, but this combo is also really good. So I don't know, there was some really good player interaction that was happening in the game.
Yeah, I think
and it was just good.
I think for me, the aha moment was right at the beginning. So Paul does this teach, right? And I'm staring at the game and I'm like, what do we do? What is this? What is that? Okay, right? And most of the time I can pick up games pretty quickly. And I'm like, what? Okay. And so we random every time we have first player.
Random.
And Paul goes first a lot, but he goes first in this game. And so Paul is like, all right, so I'm going to take this dice, and it lets me do this, and I'm going to place it here, and I do this, and then I'm going to do this, right? And then I'm going to take this, right?
And you and Joe were like looking at each other.
I gain these 2 resources, right? And that's what Paul does, like, and it was literally just like that, right? There was no like super excitement or fanfare. It was just, I'm going to do this, lets me do this, I'm going to take this, and I'm going to get this, and I'm going to do these resources.
Yeah.
And Joe and I, like, we watch and we like look at each other, and then like for me it was like this excitement of like, wow,
What was that?
And then for Joe it was like, what just happened? Right? We have two totally radically different like views of when we saw Paul do his first move of like what this game was, and it just opened up for me. I'm like,
And one of y'all, I don't remember who, I'm gonna guess it was Joe, was like, "Can you do that again?" And I was like, "I think so." And so like I went back and I was like, "Okay, I take this, which allows me to do this, which allows me to do this and this and that."
yeah. And
it was
so
just
for
like,
me, it just
whoa.
it opened it up so much of like, oh, that's the game. I now understand. And so like I just instantly have this excitement of I get it. And then unfortunately that is not the type of game Joe likes by any means. And so Joe, I mean, he was a trooper. He played through it, right? I think he got blown out of the water. But he was just like, that's not the type of things I like. Right? I want it to be very cut and dry of I am doing this, you know. But yeah, White Castle, completely fantastic game.
I'm so glad you like that one.
Completely lives up to all of the hype that it has.
Yeah.
All right, Ken, what was your question here? What kind of randomness that can make Devin dislike the game? Like he does not like Final Girl, but likes Dice Throne. So I do like a lot more, we'll call it perfect information in things. It's not that randomness is a bad, all-encompassing type of thing, right? The best way to put it is, I like input randomness over output randomness, right? So, Dice Throne, great example. You roll the dice, right, and then you can see, okay, off my first roll, I'm close to this, I'm going to go for this, right? Dice Throne has a little bit of both, but like a lot of times a game will, let's say I roll dice, and then Circadians is going to be this way. I roll my dice,
And then you make your plan.
because Circadians has a lot of randomness in it, right? I roll my dice. Now I work with those dice to figure out how I'm going to play the round or play the game or do whatever, right?
You have an end goal in sight. This is how you're getting there.
So output randomness is the Final Girl, right? Where I'm going to decide, I think it's Final Girl, I'm going to decide the strength of an action or what action I'm going to do, and then I'm going to roll dice, and that is going to determine the outcome of the action, a fast pass-fail, right? Or, you know, a lot of, we'll call it war games or that type of stuff, why I don't typically like them. It is the, you know, I want to attack here. Now I roll all my dice and I see what actually happens with the attack afterwards, right? So I don't technically think Distilled falls exactly in that output randomness. Maybe, yeah, I guess slightly it does. You are right.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it's that kind of randomness.
Well, I think
so
Final
I
Girl-
also look at things like Dice Throne. If I know a game is going to be something like a Dice Throne, I'm not thinking of it the same way I'm thinking about heavier Euro, right? I'm going into it thinking I'm about to just chunk some dice and do some damage. It's kind of almost falls into like the unmatched, right? Like I don't really care who wins the unmatched. So that's that's it.
Yeah, for the perfect example for Final Girl is I'm going to go into this spot. I have this move that will kill him, right? But if I fail my 2 dice, I die, and then that's the end of the game.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, it literally just comes down to, let me roll. I did everything that I was supposed to, and now I lost.
Yeah.
Right? So. And honestly, that kind of feels bad for me, too, right? Like, that I've kind of not played as much of it just because it's so punishing. And it's like I did everything that I needed to do, and still lost.
So, anyway, that's it. Great question, Ken. We have one last game.
One last
has
game.
been a long stream, so here we go.
Wingspan.
Played a lot recently.
Last
Probably the
week.
most recent game played. At least
Yeah,
for
last week. Wingspan is a game that I first played.
When
I don't know, probably when it came out. Yeah,
I don't know.
and
that was 19.
19. Yeah, it had to have been 19 because it wasn't 20. Honestly, I played it WrestleMania weekend. Joe came down, and that was when I played it. So it was just a game that I was not overly impressed by. At that point of board games, I wasn't really into as much as it was now. That is a straight engine builder game, which is probably the thing that I am the worst at in games. And I remember just getting destroyed by this beautiful looking art. And at that point, it's just like, I don't ever need to play that again. So, recently we picked up the fan art pack, and I'm more into the gaming now, and you've mentioned a couple times that this is a top 10 game for you, and I was like, all right, well, you know what, we've got this stuff, let's just go ahead and play it. And my opinion kind of changed on it. It's a much better game than what I remember. Still definitely not my top, but if anybody ever wants to play it, I'll play it.
Yeah, I don't have much to add other than I think Wingspan is a fantastic game. Yeah. I have said that from the beginning. I will play this absolutely anytime. This is probably like the most loved light game that I have, right? I think it's kind of perfect for what it is. It's not super complex. You work with what you got and with the birds that are out, and every game I feel like is going to be slightly different, and I will play this. And I'm also glad we got the fan art pack, because now I can laugh at these like
the children's drawings.
No, I'm not saying I'm laughing at children. That's not what I'm saying at all. Just laughing at, they're neat, they're different.
Yeah, they are different.
They're not the bird that you're seeing on this cover, right? So anyway, that is Wingspan. That wraps up our stream.
It was a long one, 3 hours, 47 games.
That was. We appreciate,
very good month. Yeah, thanks for being here, guys.
You guys that were in chat, for sure, makes it fun.
Yeah, we know we lost a couple of y'all, but just because it's much later than what we had anticipated, honestly. Sure. But if you're watching this after the fact, thank you. We appreciate it. We'll keep doing this every month, and next month won't be as long.
Yeah, for sure. I guess we can wrap up the same way we normally do. What all do we have coming out? I know that you...
okay, so we have a couple Kickstarters coming out this month.
That's right.
We have Peaks. So Peaks is same people that made Nestlings, Tangerine Games. If you watched our top dice manipulation games, same people that made Nestlings. That was Devin's number 5 game. So that game should be coming out towards the end of the month. That will be going on Kickstarter. And then we also have a social deduction kind of preview called The Fall of Kingdoms. And it's a game that if you like Coop, you will like this game. Absolutely. For sure. Yeah, so look out for those. Those should be hitting Kickstarter. I think The Fall of Kingdoms is June 18th, and then Peaks is towards the 20th or something. And then let's see, we've got Dice Throne coming out this month. So we'll do that next week. Maybe the week after, something like that. It's gonna be a 2 video week drop, something like that. So
and then we got some lives coming up. Don't exactly know what we'll play, but we will figure those out
we got
as
some
we
lives.
go. We'll wing it.
Yeah, we got Verdant, Goa, Hacienda. There's a little...
We're not doing those live.
I was gonna say, there's a little area right there that I'm not looking forward to too much.
Which one?
Goa, Hacienda.
One of those is gonna be a banger.
Yeah, they might be. We'll see. I've heard decent things about Goa. And then let's see, we've got Neotopia video coming out after we kind of poo-pooed on it a little bit. But that one's coming out. Cascadero is going to come out at some point.
It's not that it's poo-pooed. It's just Reef is better.
Yeah, Reef is better. Cascadero will be coming out. And then, I don't know what else. So bunch of stuff.
Ken, thank you so much for all that.
Yeah, I'm glad you could finally make it again, Ken.
Again, everybody for staying so long. And that is it. That is our 3-hour, 47-game stream. Promise we won't do another one of these again for 6 months, but we'll look
another
forward.
3-hour
3-hour stream for 6 months, but we look forward to doing that one again. So
that's right.
Anyway, we will see y'all later. Bye.